Who are you yelling at? Gotcha. Cat issues. So, how was your week so far?
Not bad. Work and work and work and work.
I can relate to that. $111 in Phoenix today. 111. Happy birthday, Ron Hill. Council member, probably not going to be here tonight. I'm going to definitely give him a shout out. That's hot. Are we doing the linking thing? Linking.
Yeah, give me a moment to get there.
Linking.
Let me get live first.
Okay. Oh, let me change my just chatting since we don't have a podcast. Is there a podcast thing?
There is a talk shows and podcast category. Yes, that's what I use.
Okay. Also, I learned this in playing with what you call it, OBS. That's not what I wanted to do. See, I'm already bad at it. Yeah. Okay, in here. Image. Oh. So I can put our little logo in the top corner.
Do the invite. Invite sent.
Fantastic. There we go. Invite sent. Collaborate. You will collaborate. Okay.
And chat is shared.
Yay. Chat. So we just keep that one open, and then we open another one, and all will be well. Huzzah. Huzzah to the victors.
Huzzah to the chef.
Damn it. Who created this clip-on technology for these?
Yeah, mine sits precariously on the top of my monitor.
There ain't much room up there. It's not like a 70s television where you could put a cat and a couple photos and all kinds of stuff up there back in the day. I think we're about ready to start. Rob, the blacksmith, had some serious dental work, so he will not be joining us today, he said. So
dental pain is the worst.
Absolutely. We're connected to your head, which is near your brain. So, yeah. Yeah, that.
Anyways, let's get rolling. I hope I have the number right. I have it listed as number 76. Is that
Number
correct?
76 is correct. Hello and welcome to the Supreme Council of the Master Geeks Lodge. My name is Bill Kelly, Hornswoggle the Great, peasant hero, lord of the bridge trolls, and otherwise expert in the well of weird and useless information. Tonight with me I also have...
Rob Marsden, also known as Jingo the Fool, the King of Fools, Game Master at Large, and had some other cool epithets to describe myself by, but I cannot remember them. I am OG, Original Geek. Old school doesn't get much older than us.
That's true. You have to go somewhere to find those guys, like the Ren Fair, or, you know, someplace like that. Somebody in their 90s. I remember when... Yeah, they're out there. But yes, today is the 7th of July. Happy birthday, Ron Hill, which I had mentioned before, but we'll say it again because it's his birthday and he's not here to join us. But in 3 days, not only my late father's birthday on July 10th, but also NICOLA TESLA, one of the greatest men that ever lived that no one ever talks about.
One of my favorites.
I have done a deep dive in Tesla because he was going to be one of the main characters of a comic book story I was writing, and then Paul was... Oh, Clay, go ahead and do your intro. We did that already.
Oh, sorry about that. You had to get my charge game going. Hi, this is Clay. Phoenix Made a Clay on YouTube. That's really my only online presence right now. Purveyor of many ideas, but lacker of follow through.
That comes
and that's about all I got to say about that.
But yes, we talked about doing Tesla because, well, it isn't until the 80s that you hear the name Tesla again. Now it's a car and a battery company and all that, but no one really talked about him for... Tesla's gotten a bad rap because
You know what first brought him to my attention? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
Oh, no. I could talk about him all night. Go ahead.
What first brought him to my attention, I didn't know anything about him or who he was. And then a rock band named Tesla came along. And this is what they were named after. But I didn't realize how deep it went until their second album, called The Great Radio Controversy. And I'm sure we'll touch heavily on that. Their second album was dedicated to that.
Yeah.
And that's when I first studied Nikola Tesla and discovered who he was. And was like, wow, why isn't this guy like a god among us?
Edison and J.P. Morgan is the short story. When you meet somebody better than you, you're always not prepared to handle it. And when you're severely emotionally immature, you'll go out of your way to destroy that person. That's just humans. Not all,
Yeah.
But Tesla won the war of the currents, AC versus DC. And everybody said, how do you know that? Well, what's in your wall? What's your computer run on? Now what's your phone run on? Or your car? Or boat? Or
Those,
golf cart?
even though there's a battery, it's still, in a lot of cases, uses an alternator to make it an alternating current.
Oh, absolutely.
Some of them, no. Some battery-operated things are still direct current.
Damn it.
I believe your phone would technically be a direct current device.
Yes, it would. So, we have so much to thank for Tesla because Tesla was born on July 7th. And I don't even have this pulled up. This is how much research I did on him. July 7th, 1848, in the middle of a massive electrical storm, which is today, I think it's Croatia, Bosnia. It's one of the, because they both celebrate Tesla. And his father was like a minister, preacher, but he was also a military background man and held a rank in the army. His mother was more of a tinker and an inventor. His dad was he didn't take kindly to a lot of Tesla's crazy ideas. Tesla was like 6'7". He had a high falsetto voice. When he was really little, there was a wedding in his father's church, and he couldn't overcome himself with an experiment. And he was like 6, I think, when he did this. He wanted to see if the bridal gown of the bride would carry his weight down the aisle. So he jumped on the back of her dress.
Probably didn't make him very popular with the bride, because I'm sure it didn't drag him down the aisle.
No, not at all. Because Tesla gets a degree, and he's just revolutionary. He just gets it. You don't have to explain it to him. He just understands. It just comes to him naturally. So he goes to work for the Bell Company, which is becoming big later. Because remember, he doesn't get to America until like the early 1890s. And he wants to go to America. You also remember he speaks like 7 languages. I mean, he's just brilliant. He works for the Bell Company, the Edison Bell Company, and in Budapest, and they're so amazed with him. They're like, "You're wasting your time here. Go to America. Go to Edison. Go see Thomas Edison." And he's like, "Okay." So his boss writes him a letter of recommendation, and Tesla carries that letter. He gets a sponsor to buy his ticket so that he can get across the pond from, I think he's in England, and then he comes to New York. And he literally gets off the boat in New York with 4 pennies in his pocket. He's broke. He doesn't have a job. He's got a letter of recommendation from one of the most powerful men in his field of, being an electrical engineer. So first he kind of like needs to make some money. So he just kind of walks down the street and goes to random shops until he finds one that their machinery isn't working right. And he not only fixes it, he redesigns it so it works better. So he starts making a little bit of money there, and that's pretty good. And then he works his way to Menlo Park, where Edison is. And Edison is immediately intimidated. Edison's, 5'5"? He's short, even for the day. And Tesla's over 6.5 feet tall. He's got a high falsetto voice. He's a commanding presence when he's giving a symposium, but for the most part, Tesla's not very, super charismatic and magnanimous. He's kind of non-compass menace. He kind of keeps to himself. He's an observer, the way they describe him. So the note that Tesla's been carrying with himself for a couple of months, Edison finally opens it, and it raves about Tesla, and it basically, the note tells Edison, the 2 smartest men I've ever met in the world are in the same room right now. One is reading this letter, and the other one is standing before him. Edison is so furious by the time he puts this note down, he barely interviews Tesla. Because Edison had a huge... Oh, man, I burned a hole in this one. I'm not paying attention with the incense. It's brilliant, just like Tesla. Oh, that was... Anyway. So, after they get to talking, and Edison knows that AC is more efficient, With direct current, it only goes so far at that power level. For those of you who don't, and I don't mean like for those of you who don't understand electricity, I'm serious, like for those of you who don't understand how electricity works. Okay, DC stands for direct current. It's a straight positive feed of a whole lot of deadly electricity. But as it travels, and you have to have massive copper wires, as it travels, the level of power of the DC degrades over distance. So the 500 volts you started with, or watts, or amps, or whatever, now it's 200 by the time it gets to where it's going. So they had to have transformer stations about every half mile all over America. Think about that for a minute. And they figured that out in... So Edison knows, but he's not going to let go of all these deals that he's getting through Morgan and other people, that the telegraph is new. The telephone is new. America's being wired, telegraphed. America is having copper wire put everywhere so that we can have telegraph and telephone and later electricity. So Edison tells Tesla that he'll give him $1 million, the equivalent of today's money, if he refits the DC shop to AC. This will start Tesla. Tesla has plans. He has no long-term plans with Edison. He simply wants to learn what he can and then go out on his own. Tesla's always wanted to go out on his own. He partners up with Westinghouse, but that happens after this. And that's pre-Niagara Falls. And Westinghouse becomes Tesla's favorite partner because of how Westinghouse is. He's a railroad guy and a genius second. So Tesla gets to work. He refits the entire Menlo Park from DC to AC. Now remember, this is the guy that's trying to convince America that DC is a safer, better alternative, that no. Tesla does the whole job pretty much by himself in under the time that he tells Edison he's going to do with it. He goes into Edison's office and says, okay, the job is done. I'm ready for my money. Decorate my hand. And Edison laughs at him and goes, "Ha! You just don't understand American humor."
He's lucky Tesla is a benevolent man, because he would have died of a direct current electrocution death in short order if he did that.
Tesla could have just beat him into the ground, but he doesn't. He takes the... Tesla's like a lot of us. He believes that people are better, that they can be better, that they're going to do the right thing, that the better sword or the mightier sword will prevail. No, dude, people are scumbags. People are bastards and bastard coding with that line from Scrubs. So Tesla's furious, and he goes out on his own, and he gets a lot of deals, and he ends up getting the Morgan deal, and he starts... AC is alternating current, so it's farther with a much thinner cord, and you don't have to amp it up unless you need more electricity. It's the same. It starts, it ends, it's the same amount of volts, same amount of amps. So eventually all the people that are having the real money get a hold of this knowledge, and they tell Edison, no, DC is, forget it. Meanwhile, Tesla makes an electric car out of DC in about 1919, but we'll get to that in a minute. Because we haven't even got to his remote control boat in 1899 yet, which he had a lot of fun with. So, Tesla makes his own lab. And he starts not only doing work for conversion, for upgrading, for all this other stuff, he starts working on his own projects. And Tesla accidentally creates an earthquake machine.
I heard about that.
He's in his lab one night, and they're working on it. I don't think he has several assistants. Pierce is the assistant to Tesla for the longest amount of time, but I think he's after this incident, and I think Pierce follows him out to Colorado Springs. So he turns on, he's doing all these tests, and it's really just this like seismic thumping machine. And he's not making it for the earthquakes. He's making it to like make seismic. He's after energy. Everything was energy and vibration to Tesla. Everything was about vibrations and energies and redirecting them and converting them and honing them. Tesla invented the X-ray. Tesla invented the radio. Tesla invented the incandescent light bulb. There's a lot of therapeutic things that we've used for 100 years that Tesla came up with that. He was feeling this way in his lab, and he did some research, and he came up with this, and now we use that as a mist for this and that, or this healing salve. And I mean, he was a true Renaissance man 400 years after the Renaissance, because he was into everything but sports, science, agricultural stuff, farming, all that, because that involved engineering. The man suffered from massive migraines his entire life. I understand your pain, buddy. As a sufferer since 9 years old, that sucks. However, Tesla got a level of migraines that most people don't normally get. He was completely incapacitated by the pain and the blinding light. But when it was over, the headache gave him a schematic. Perfectly, and then he would draw it out in perfect mechanical drawing, and it would work. Aliens. But that's never been proven.
Well, I was thinking that sounds more like a muse out of Greek mythology.
Little column A, little column B. So Tesla came up with a lot of stuff that he doesn't know. His brain came up with it, was what he would tell people. Because he never married, and he was severely OCD. And from all of reading the books about him and everything, I'm pretty much convinced he was asexual, because he never talks about men or women in that level of intensity, I guess is the word we're going to use for tonight, because sex and Tesla don't really...
Yeah,
I
could see him being an ace.
Yeah. Hair, human hair, freaked him out. Like pearls freaked him out. A lot of like things that women or men would wear as decorations were no to him, where he had to do rituals to get rid of the sensation. He had to walk around the Waldorf Astorian Hotel, what, 3 to 17 times. He had to have 28 napkins, cloth napkins at dinner, and he would use all of them. I mean, he had a lot of weird, there's a lot more. Didn't he do this? Probably. The guy was out of his mind. But you got some of the greatest inventions ever from him. So, I was writing, there's a huge story in my head, but I'm a terrible writer, so I'm unable to get it out. And it involves basically... The first issue is Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday, and Wyatt knows Doc is dying, and he doesn't really want to take him to the Greenwood Sanitarium, so he decides to take him to Tesla, and because Greenwood and Colorado Springs, it's the same territory back then. And Tesla tells Holliday, I can't cure you, because tuberculosis is... But I can't keep you going. So Tesla and Wyatt Earp, the Earp brothers, and Josie and Big Nose Kate and Doc Holliday and Houdini and Annie Oakley and a bunch of others all get together and fight like J.P. Morgan and all these other characters. It's like Clay said, and I absolutely am fascinated with the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I have the comics. I've watched them. I have the movie. I know it's terrible. I watch it anyway. But I love the idea of real people that got together and did a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. So I created that because it didn't exist. And then after I was so impressed with that, I decided to do Michael Faraday and Maxwell before that, because they precede Tesla about 50, 60 years. In fact, Tesla uses a Faraday cage in all of his high voltage experiments because he doesn't want to die. He doesn't want to look like Uncle Owen after the stormtroopers pay them a visit. So Tesla is a prolific character, and he was complete. You could go talk to him. I mean, he was a real guy. 1893, the World's Fair, is one of the most important dates in our American history post-Civil War. And the reason that I say 1893 is the World's Fair in Chicago is because so much shit is happening that year. First year with the Ferris wheel. In fact, Ferris, unveils the wheel at the fair. It's the first time ever people go up and down and around. First time ever. Without an accident or explosion. So, also, they call it the White City because they're going to make a city next to Chicago to have the fair. They need lights. Tesla and Edison both bid for the job. Tesla not only underbids Edison, because with Tesla, money is never... With Edison, it's all about cash. With Tesla, cash is a means to make his dreams and inventions come true. So he's not money obsessed, but money is the root of all evil and an ultimate necessity to get the job done. So Tesla has, won the bid to create all of the lighting for the White City. But it's too big a job. So he even goes to Edison and says, it's going to take me 6 months to do this. Please help me. I'll pay you. And Edison can't get his middle fingers up fast enough for this conversation. Fuck you! So Edison walks out on an amazing, and I think that's when he first meets Westinghouse, because George Westinghouse comes in at about the 1890s in Tesla's life, and like Tesla himself said, George was the only man that ever got on his knees and looked up and underneath my inventions. Now that's a man who knows science. So they became they had a bromance because it was all about engineering. Westinghouse already has made a name for himself for being a Civil War engineer and taking all that brilliance into modern railroading. I think he's got like 14 patents and railroad improvements before he and Tesla start hanging out. Because Westinghouse and Tesla build Niagara Falls in 1899. I'm jumping ahead 6 years. So 1893, the Ferris wheel is made. Tesla unveils the incandescent light. Forever will we be suffering under them in offices all over the world. They came from 1893. Okay, not everything Tesla did was great. He also made the death ray. Okay. So, he pushes himself to exhaustion and more migraines, but he gets the job done. For those of you who aren't serial killer enthusiasts, 1893 is the year that Dr. H.H. Holmes is praying from his murder mystery castle all over the Chicagoland area, preying on visitors and citizens alike. Now, if you don't know about the castle and Dr. H.H. Holmes, there's even a show on him on Netflix. He's our first, city-wide serial killer that does, I think they have 100 and something people. He killed the people that built his castle in the middle of the city, and he had trap doors that went into the basement and emptied out into vats of acid. So he was destroying the bodies. And he was also killing people, putting them in the acid, the lesser acid, and then selling their skeletons to schools. All the while, this woman came in because she was pregnant and wanted some holistic care. Yeah, he was a total scumbag. So that's why 1893 is very exciting. There is even a book called Devil in the White City, and it's all about Dr. H.H. Holmes and how he was a...
And his House of Horrors.
House of Horrors. He was a real bastard. He has this handyman that works for him, and he basically kidnaps this guy's children, takes them across the country, and just murders them and dumps their bodies. And, well, I forgot where I put them. I don't know. He's the first, like, Ted Bundy-esque. He's charismatic. The women think he's good-looking. He passes himself off as a doctor. He's not your Gacy or your Dahmer or... He's the first predator that's using elegance to catch flies, not webs and a tire iron over the head for Bundy's modus operandi.
It puts the lotion on its skin where it gets the hose.
Pretty much. Well, because next we have Ed Gein, and he's not elegant or sophisticated by any stretch of the imagination.
Ed Gein is this. We could do a whole show on just him.
We'll do that near Halloween because he's just a disgusting ghoul. That really, he's one of those guys that they should have picked him up when he was a kid and never left him alone with his mom. But that's a story for another time. So yes, 1893, Chicago World's Fair. Read about it on Wikipedia and all that. You'll be entertained. You won't be disappointed. It's an absolutely fascinating, and Tesla was there. Tesla was in proximity of one of the most lethal serial killers that America has ever had. In 1890, he didn't even know. I mean, none of them knew until after. They were there doing their thing, setting up for the science stuff. So as things progress, Tesla's learning more and more. Oh, the earthquake and the earthquake machine in New York. So he's trying to do it, and nothing's happening, and he's getting all frustrated. And then all of a sudden there is pounding on the warehouse door. And he's like, what the hell? Because it's like 9 o'clock at night. And he goes and he opens the door, and there's all these police. And he looks out, and all the streets all fucked up, and they're like, what are you doing? He basically set this seismic charge loose in the middle of, like, Manhattan. And he was at the epicenter, so he never realized that all of the... It works! Turn it off! Oh, sorry, yes, turn it off. Steam-powered earthquake machine by accident. Because I think those were tied to his experiments from... Tesla figured out, which is where Wardcliffe Tower comes from, how to harness AC in the atmosphere, pull it down, and put it into the earth where it's going anyway, because that's the cycle of lightning. And later in the problems were that Edison and other investors keep burning his labs down, so Tesla kind of has to stay on the move. So by the time he gets to Colorado City, and now you're like dealing with the movie The Prestige, where David Bowie plays Nikola Tesla. He makes a deal with Colorado City where he basically tells them, I will provide free electricity for your entire town, but the night is mine to do my experiments. And they went, free electricity for the... Yes! Yes! Because they're not even a mining town at this. They're like a town before a mining town. Colorado Springs is basically a place to get water. It's not...
It's still not much.
No, it's nice. It's lovely. But there's like not a mine there or, you know, this big industrial complex. It's just nature. So Tesla starts doing all kinds of basically lighting lights up through the atmosphere. He figures out a way to do this long before wireless electricity now is starting to catch on. So they keep destroying his labs, and they keep doing that. But after he gets in Colorado Springs, they still destroy that lab, but it takes them longer to get to him because they have to find him. It's not like he left Big Neon Neil. Tesla's moving to Colorado. It was very quiet. So Tesla still does all of his experiments, and he's still working on radio, and they say he opened an interdimensional portal and met interdimensional beings. I've never read that in any of the biographies, but the man was so smart, it wouldn't surprise me. Yes, he did fall in love with a pigeon. Just more evidence that the man was asexual and out of his mind. A pigeon. It happened.
Not a pigeon. The pigeon.
The pigeon. She was a great pigeon, I guess. Tesla died in 1943.
Lava Being says a well-endowed pigeon.
A well-endowed. I hope not. It was a girl pigeon, I thought. I don't know. Good old skeleton juice. Well, yeah. Yeah, he didn't know, and there's the the earthquake machine works. Turn it off. oh yes, that's just awesome. Again, I've read several of his books. I wanted to turn that story into an epic, and who knows? Before he died, Paul went and got me a whole bunch of Old West sound effects. So I'm an idea man, not a writer. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but it really bums me out because I wanted to be a writer my whole life, and it turns out I really suck at it. So, like even Derek, who we've had on the show, so get a ghostwriter. Or even Chris Newton is a perfect example, who, I don't know where Chris is. I hope everything's okay with his mom. But Chris will go, we should write a story together, okay? And then I'll write half of it and send it to him. I don't know what this means. This doesn't make any sense. You know what? I'm giving up writing. Just not going to do it anymore. Goddamn people. Meanwhile, I've published 2 comics. Thank you very much. Worldwide Film.
That's 2 more things than I have published.
They didn't go over that great. But okay. Ignorance is bliss until logic becomes depression. So, what's a good run for an independent comic?
I have no idea.
Thank you very much. And when you go and ask the comic book stores, I don't know. We have them on the shelf. Yes, but how many have you sold? I don't know. We have them on the shelf. So, you do a couple conventions. You start asking around. Guys don't want to tell you. So then after 2 years, a year and a half, you tell them and you're like, I don't know how good I'm doing. I don't know how to judge me, even against you. I printed 1,000 of them and I sold 275. Now, I'm ignorant telling other independent writers and artists and comic book makers, their jaws dropped. You sold 275 of your first issue? Is that good? That's outstanding! Okay, a lot of people didn't like it, but all right, we sold a lot of them. It's $5 a piece. So, you don't know how good you're doing until somebody else tells you in a lot of aspects. Until then, I was just writing and begging artists to work for free because, well, I'm broke. That's how I met Dana and Dwayne and Matt Hunt and and Julio and all these artists want to draw my stories. They're sold on the story. I don't have any money to pay them, and I'm not a good enough writer to make it good. So
I have a couple of ideas for graphic novels that, if I had an artist, I think they could be amazing. I don't want to go into details here because there are always somebody that's going to steal your idea.
I'll tell you who I was writing with, and I really enjoyed it, but I was frustrating the shit out of him. Mike Clark, who is also no longer with us. And if Mike was alive today, he'd be on this fucking council right now, because he is the original troll. No one can troll people like Mike Clark. Gloom Pixie.
Yeah, I know. I've known Mike since high school.
Before me. I'm the third generation of friends to catch. I'm the younger, hey guys, you want to hang out? With all you dudes.
We were both members of a wargaming club back in the 80s called Raw Games, Role Players and War Gamers. And, you know, Mike was always flippant. He always had a smart remark.
Oh, God, yeah.
And, you know, one of our other gamers was a hothead named John Foster. Because Paul has probably talked about him once or twice. You might have even met him. He would, it's kind of like what a hobbit would look like if he was 6 feet tall.
Then probably I met him. And he was one of those angry aggro gamers?
Yeah, he was angry, one of those angry aggro gamers. And we were playing, I think it was Car Wars. John was playing, I was playing, Mike was playing. And John said something, and Mike made an under his breath comment about John being omnipotent. And John said, "Did you call me impotent?" And one hand shoved Mike in the chest and sent him flying across the room to land on his back.
Mike's not a small guy, just for the record. 5'10",
but
185 pounds, not small.
And back in high school, he was about 110 pounds.
Oh.
He was real skinny. He was the same skinny twerp that I was.
He was
and I also had the kind of smart mouth that got me pushed to the ground
no wonder you
a
two
few times.
Wonder you two are best friends immediately. You and him and Firestone, you probably all fit right into 3 peas in a pod. Because, well, Mark and Mike always got along very, very well. They always were cracking jokes off to the side. And, yeah, Mike was incredibly intelligent. Very smart guy. Was a coder for a living. Yeah. Oh, one of the things that, if there are a bunch of people arguing on Facebook, and I usually start that, thank you very much, Lord of the Bridge Trolls, it always comes to mind, Mike told me that when BBSs were brand new, like Commodore 64 level, that he would go on to one of the BBSs and write, "Handguns kill babies for Jesus," and then he would log off for about 2 weeks, and he would come back, and there would just be this whole stream of people screaming at him, and he would just laugh his ass off reading every one. "You go to hell, you degenerate piece of shit." Blah, 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 blah. Back when only computer nerds had computer. So I like to think about that whenever I'm reading somebody making fun of me or yelling at me. Mike would be proud right now that I pushed another human.
I like trolling on Facebook, and when somebody responds to me, I always respond back to them with the laugh emote.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that just makes them even madder that I won't engage.
Or I posted what I've been doing for years. Argue against your own points. It's okay, or what is it? It's okay to look schizophrenic, or it'll show that you're schizophrenic, and they won't argue with you as long. Wiggles. Time tested, psychotic approved. It works. But yes.
I like to agree emphatically to like ×2.
Yeah. Or you just agree with all of them and then make points, and they're like, whose side are you on? Well, I'm on my side. I don't give a crap about any of you people. My favorite line is, and I use it all the time, and now it's going to get stolen because I'm going to say it. "Hey, I just came here to throw peanuts at the clowns. You keep juggling, sweetie. You keep juggling." Anyway, so Mike and I were... Chris came... Hoska Castle. It's in the Carpathian Mountains, Hungary. This is a castle where all of the stuff that's normally on the outside is on the inside. And there's a labyrinth inside because it's a gateway to hell. Houska. Houska. And Mike and I were writing a story about people that keep getting pulled there. And it's like I'm writing the story that's happening in the 1800s and he's writing the story in the modern day. The problem is that we had two drastically different styles of writing. And, well, now he's passed away from cancer, so with that project is over, unfortunately. So, but I still have.
I never did hear what happened to him.
Colon
cancer?
Colon cancer. And
cancer?
Surprisingly not lung cancer. I mean, the man was an impressive smoker. I mean, what, 2 packs of Marlboro Lights a day? And, God, I probably smoked a metric ton of weed with him over a life. But no, it was colon cancer, and then he was getting better, and I even, like, 2 months before, or a month before he died, I got, hey, I'm positive, things are going good, we're not out of the woods, but, things are looking up, and I should be able to start having visitors in a month and a half. Within a month, his sister posted that he was gone, and that was just like, and this was just, recently, so he knew that Paul had already passed. He knew that my father had passed, because he knew both of them. We all hung out together.
Oh, I talked to Mike. Last time I talked to him was at Paul's memorial.
So, shortly after that, it's like 2 Februaries later, he was gone. So, I'll post a picture. I have a picture of him and Beth. And Beth put like cat ears on him, and they're either in Paul's backyard or my parents' backyard or Paul's parents' backyard at a party. So,
Jingo, I have like an old phone and an old phone. My old phone, I was going through. It's still hooked up to my old Facebook account. And I was going through my texts with Paul, and we were texting back in 2012. I was living out in Santan Valley, and he was I was talking to him. I was asking about what D&D game you're playing, because we were talking about D&D because I was wanting to get into it, and he mentioned his friend Rob, who's a very adept GM. So I wanted to give you some props there that, back in 2012, we could have almost met. If things had been just I was way out to the east in Santan Valley, and, that was that was a big reason why I wasn't one of the bastards of the British Empire as well.
Yep.
Because we were talking that over. Distance.
Yeah, and you understand patina and steampunking. You've been helping me with all the guns. We posted a bunch of them on Etsy's charging you like $75 to have an account. What the? So Facebook Marketplace and eBay. And what was the other one? Whatnot. Then there's Swap and that. Yeah, I talked to 100.
Yeah, here's another one. This one was this.
That's
Paul?
a Paul. I've been after Theo forever to get this box of guns, and the last time I talked to him, he just didn't have any interest at all. But that's one of that has to be fixed.
Yeah, it has to be glued. I got some glue right here.
We've got that one. I'd like to get 45 for it, but I'd take 40 because that's a Paul original. I mean, we're not going to have any more of those.
Yeah, he's gone, guys.
Yeah, I've got other Paul. Well, all 3 that I posted are Paul's. I'll put the link on the thing, and then. Well, we've got, he taught me everything I know, but we had 2 drastically different styles for making the guns. Paul was a lot more primary color oriented, which existed in the late 1800s. It was a thing. But I was a lot more bronze and copper. And
you wanted rustic looking stuff.
I do. It was a constant discussion between he and I, because he wanted everything to look like it just came off the factory floor. He wanted it to have this, like, pristine, handmade look. I wanted to make them look like you carried this through the desert for months, maybe years. Like, you know, it's smudged, it's dirty, it's...
The term is used future. That's what sets Star Wars apart from other
Star Trek,
science fiction. Yeah. Well, Star Wars especially. You go to Star Trek, everything's new.
Yeah, everything's new.
It's clean, it's shiny, it's chrome, it's carpeted. Star Wars, everything's grungy and gritty and chipped.
Yeah. Same,
Used future.
Firefly, Farscape, Battlestar Galactica, Buck Rogers even. Parts of it is used future, parts of it is... even Flash Gordon, for that matter. When you're dealing with Ming, everything is opulence, and when you're dealing with, you know, the Baron, they live on a jungle planet.
Yeah, 40K is the same way. It's used future.
Because in the Alliance with Firefly and Serenity, everything is brand new and shiny. That's where the term shiny comes from. And then in the Outer Worlds, it's the 1800s. Everything's gross.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Nope, go ahead.
I was going to say, can you check the thermostat in the hall? I'm pretty sure I need to turn the breaker on for the AC.
Yeah, I got to deal with the evap.
Okay. We're still dealing with no air conditioning. Well, it works. It just doesn't turn off. That's bad. I don't need my AC compressor to run 24/7 at full speed. But meanwhile, the house gets up to 87 degrees. Yay.
Yeah. Well, it was very, very hot today.
112, 111. So, yes.
According to the Weathertron, it's 111 right now at almost 6 p.m.
Clay wanted to have me bring up the atrocities that Edison committed in his smear campaign. And they even bring that up. Andy Serkis's character in the Prestige movie brings that up during a Tesla symposium. And says, it's all part of the Edison smear campaign. Edison in New Jersey was paying young boys, to go kidnap dogs out of people's yards so he could gather people into a large group and fry them on this metal panel that he rigged up with a AC current. And then it was goats, and then it was horses. He even got an elephant and killed it in front of thousands of people.
To show the dangers of AC. Only because he was invested in DC.
And DC is
what a scudwad.
Edison is the biggest piece of shit before... Let's see who's the bigger piece of shit. Because you could argue P.T. Barnum, but at least you know what you're getting into. And he's not...
Barnum was, never sold you anything, other than a spectacle.
Exactly. But
he exploited his talent. And in that way, he was a bastard. But,
the difference
you want to see the spectacle, you got to pay.
Edison is on the level of a Cadillac man. I mean, you're just the biggest scumbag, because Edison not only tried to smear everybody. Look, if you were going to get a sucker born every minute is Barnum's favorite and famous quote. There's a sucker born every minute. But you have to go to see him. Edison wanted to put DC in your house. So Edison is a far more invasive villain, if you ask me, because...
You wanted to put it in your house because you'd have to keep buying batteries.
And you'd have to keep paying him. Edison didn't invent motion pictures. I can't remember the man who did. But you know what happened to that guy? No one knows. They never found his body. But Edison was in a real big hurry to get Annie Oakley and Frank on film shooting glass balls with feathers inside of them to show just how amazing she was with a rifle. That man would Probably be a household name today if Edison hadn't made him disappear. Because after he dealt with Tesla, he realized that he couldn't leave any more loose ends with these upstarts, these engineers that were a problem to Edison's grand campaign
So
of
Edison
evil.
was an evil sub-genius.
Pretty much. I think Edison's a genius on a level of, as Marx were really cool. Edison's a genius. Okay, Edison and LBJ are both sociopath level evil. They're like level 9 on the most evil scale on Dr. Stone's evil, because they use everything around them to gain their ends. But they're not book smart men. They're not collegial. They're not educated in an Ivy League or a institution kind of fashion.
They're not academics.
No, they're a predator in a jungle kind of intelligent. They're crafty. They're clever.
Opportunistic.
They're going to figure out what it can do for them. They don't really care how it's made. So Edison and Lyndon Baines Johnson have that same kind of amoral, this is going to happen. I'm going to make this happen. But they have two drastically different ways of going about it. Edison used the community around him, and, well, Johnson was 6'2". He just bullied people the old-fashioned way with his height and his I'm a Texas badass kind of, And the one was in politics and one was in inventions. So, they had two different, but similar modus operandi, similar strategies in how they went about a means to an end. So, that being said, Edison, from the time he reads the letter and Tesla's done rewiring his lab, Tesla's a threat. Tesla is an enemy. Tesla can never be bargained with or reasoned with. He must be destroyed. Only you can't destroy Tesla. Nobody can. He's still a household name, and he has now surpassed Edison. We don't even really use the name Edison anymore because we have Tesla cars and Tesla batteries and a Tesla band. Edison Lighthouse is the first band, but they didn't do 1-2 albums. I don't think I can think of any more.
The band Tesla has been around. They're still around.
They're still around. And great music. They're just great. I mean, I was going to get to them, but you said them first, and I'm very happy about that because Little Susie's only up. But yes, Tesla is an amazing figure, and nobody talks about him. He invented the death ray and tried to use the schematics because he kind of had a sizable bill at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel before he died, because when he got really old in the pigeon thing, people just kind of stopped listening to him. And then, okay, he makes a flying electric car in like 1919, and it works. But what do you think the Ford and Chevrolet, what do you think General Motors had to say about that?
Absolutely not.
Much like the Tucker torpedo, you'd be hard-pressed to find a Tesla car today, because I only think there were 3 made, where there were, 200 Tucker torpedoes made? Like people are paying millions of dollars for low-number torpedoes. So, Tesla in 1899 invents the radio. He has another migraine. He puts the patent. Here's the thing with Tesla and the patents. Some of the patents he drew himself. Some of the patents he hired an artist to draw. One of the things that Tesla would frequently do is draw it wrong or draw it and leave parts out so it couldn't be stolen. So even if you stole it, it wouldn't work when you tried to build it and put it together. So, at the same time, Tesla is creating the radio and radio frequencies just before. This is about the same time that the wax cylinder record is made in the Edison studio, but it isn't even really Edison's technology. It belongs to another person, and he's just kind of, streamlined it and kind of made it more efficient. Tesla, I think Marconi gets a hold of one of the patents, and he realizes something's wrong, and he gets the patent in first before Tesla. Because a lot of the time, Tesla turns in so many patents, the patent office is kind of getting pissed at him. He makes them work overtime all the time because he's inventing so much shit. And instead of being like overwhelmed and overjoyed about how this is going to better society, they're like, this crackpot again. Okay, yeah, that's great. Okay, yeah, this thing, wonderful. So the same thing happens with radio control. He makes this boat, and he attaches a battery-powered little motor to a propeller, and then he puts a radio receiver on it that go and tells people it's voice controlled, and he puts it in this little, mock-up lake that they build, and he literally has people shout orders to this boat, and he's got the remote control in his hand, and he's got his hands behind his back moving it as they're yelling, forward, back, no, starboard, no, to port, turn. And he's just sitting there giggling as they're yelling commands to the boat, and he's moving the boat all around the thing. That was the beginning of remote control. So we had remote control for World War I. It's just that it was seen as a novelty, as entertainment. It wasn't taken seriously. What's today? Drone warfare. So Tesla, your cell phone has 20 Tesla inventions in it. Thank you, Tesla. He's the one that figured out how to make antenna pick up 10 times and transmit 10 times the amount that they used to before he got a hold of them, because he just improved the design. So many things that he's improved over the years that,
One of the sad things is with the great radio controversy, when they finally ruled that the invention was his, he had already passed away.
It was like 48, wasn't it?
Posthumous
1948.
award. Yes.
It's like, because he would have been 100, I think, because he lived a long time. And this is a man who exposed himself to X-rays and radiation, trying to figure out how things work. He had all kinds of stuff. We got time. We'll sit around and talk about his amazing inventions and his contribution to our world, our modern world. I mean, Niagara Falls. He's the one that said, why don't we use electric power like they use the windmills in Holland? And Westinghouse was like, that's brilliant! I know the plane! And it hydroelectric pumps were not really a thing. I mean, they existed, but not to the capacity that Tesla and Westinghouse set it up. Because George was ready to just change the world. He was all excited. So him and Tesla, it was a bromance. They got along very well. They had hours and days of sharing ideas and building shit.
Yes. Westinghouse patented and marketed the first commercial radio transmitter.
Where was it made?
And it was the only radio transmitter available for the longest time until the Kaiser Corporation came out with theirs.
Yep.
And, in order to keep competition at a minimum, there was kind of a line drawn along the Mississippi, more or less. East of the Mississippi, Westinghouse would sell his transmitters. West of the Mississippi, Kaiser would sell his.
Yeah.
Now, this was back in the early 1900s when the West wasn't nearly as populated as it is now. And the reason that radio stations west of the Mississippi have a K and those east of the Mississippi have a W is depending on whether or not it was using a Kaiser or a Westinghouse transmitter. Yes.
WKRP in Cincinnati.
Yes.
So one of the biggest crimes to humanity is them not listening to Tesla. Because if Tesla had gotten his money, I don't think World War II would have happened. World War I probably would have happened on some level because the Kaiser was already gearing up long before the assassination happens and then all the invasions happen. But I don't know, because by the time Tesla figures out remote electricity, he goes to Morgan and says, you don't have to wire the country. I figured out a way to transmit it through the air. Morgan is furious, and JP Morgan tells Tesla, if you think for 1 minute that I'm going to tear down all of America from, because he was like 3/4 of the way. He's like, you're out of your mind. Get out of my office. So Morgan was really mad at Nikola Tesla from that point on because, hey, spend all this money. It's going to be great. Actually, he's right. This is going to be great. Oh, wait, don't spend the money. I found out a way to do it for free. Get the fuck out of here right now. That's basically the modern translation of how that goes. We laugh, but it wasn't funny.
Oh, no.
It's the end of the war of the currents. Tesla wins. AC's way cheaper. You don't need substations. You just need transformers. It's what's in your wall now, kids, and what's your phone? Tesla, Edison. So that's not that far off. And even Tesla figured out a way to make DC better. Do you think Edison adapted it? Fuck no. He got rid of it, and they didn't find it until 50 years later after Tesla's death, and when they went through his book and went, oh, shit, this is important. Along with the death ray and like 9 other things that are lost to time. So, I think the good aliens gave him the death ray to help us against the bad aliens. There, I said it.
Yeah, they're all in that warehouse at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Right next to the Ark of the Covenant.
Yep.
And the ring of the One Ring. Oh, and the Dwarven rings. They don't need those. The dwarves apparently laughed at them when Sauron handed them. Oh, God, here you go. Look at this.
Did you get this out of a Cracker Jack box?
I just picture all the dwarves having like this different mishmash of like English, British, and like Welsh, and Germanic. Oh, look at that! Oh, that's fucking terrible. Look at. That's all I've.
That's a great Billy Connolly.
Oh, thank you. Well, no, it's Bernard Theoden King, the actor that played Theoden King. He originally auditioned for Gimli. And they were like, do this, do that. And then when later he sees like the production and everything and he gets to talk to John Rhys Davies, he's absolutely pissed because he's like, are you kidding me? That's all the accent I had to do? I just had to sound like I was from Scouse. Ring. That's all it is, got enough. You know, like you're all from Liverpool. Well, I mean, Gimli's kind of, it's a muddled, that's not John Rhys Davies' real accent.
No, he doesn't have much of one.
Not anymore. He's been on Sliders for 30 years. Being that professor. I saw the first episode of that show. Christine was really into it. She always used to tell me, you look like Jerry Connolly. It's like, oh, I do? The fat kid from Stand By Me? Thanks. He's a good actor.
I love that show, the first 2 seasons, and it got weird.
I saw the first episode. Yeah. It was really good, but then I was being a jerk and we didn't watch it again, so it's my fault. And there, I admitted that to the world live.
Oh, there are things about that show I love. For one, the Middle Eastern cab driver, no matter which world they visited,
he's always the cab driver.
He's always the cab
poor
driver.
guy.
Man, you must love driving a cab. It must be my destiny. You don't know the half.
That's too funny.
Well, theoretically, there are constants in the universe.
True. You guys were talking last week for Vampire episode. You talked about the Charlene Harris, right? Suki.
Yes.
So I said on the show, and And I have a habit of doing that, Christine. Did that happen in the? Because she gave me the book American Gods, like at the beginning of our relationship, and she's
I
like,
love that book. I've not seen the show.
I don't know if she's seen the show, but she's read the book like 4 times. And I'm like, oh, you got me, Neil Gaiman. I mean, who better to master a story within a story within a story within a story than Neil Gaiman? But I know that if we were still together and we were watching that show, I would not be able to help myself, and it would be the same as True Blood. Did that happen in the book? Did he do that in the book? You know, I told you. You know that he died in the first book. It's just the show that's keeping him alive. The black guy, the show.
I spoiled something bad for my wife, Kat.
Whoops.
She was watching Game of Thrones. I watched the first season, and at the end of the first season, I bailed out because at that point, I'd read all 6 of the books and realized that he spent 6 books not getting to the point.
Pretty much.
And I was like, I can't be in for 6 seasons of this TV show, and they haven't even written the ending yet, and it still hasn't been written.
The problem...
But we were out to dinner one day, and we were talking about the Game of Thrones, and I had read the book, and I didn't know where she was in the show because I had stopped watching it, and I casually dropped the spoiler that Robb Stark dies.
He does.
Sorry, people, if you haven't seen Game of Thrones by now, that's a spoiler. Robb Stark dies.
Almost all of the Starks die. There will always be a Stark in Winterfell. Oh, dude, Ned, shut up. Don't say that.
If looks could kill, I would have been bleeding from the neck after I told her that. She was not happy.
I remember that she was getting frustrated with book 4, which she was so mad at it, she left it here when she moved out. And she likened it to the Wheel of Time series, where nothing ever really gets resolved. It's like Wagon Train. You just keep going to the new area and meeting the new people and meeting the new culture and dealing with that. And well, wait a minute, you're supposed to be fulfilling this reincarnation destiny. So I heard it doesn't... From all I've heard, and again, I love fantasy and sci-fi, but that doesn't mean I've read a whole lot of it. I've read what people have given me or what I randomly picked up, and I wonder if this is cool. Or I have friends that read a lot more, and I live vicariously through them, and that way you get at least half of the story, mostly. But sometimes they lie to you. Like Paul told me this fantastic lie about the book Foundation. And I'm listening to this, and I'm like, I've heard so many people tell me about these 3 books, and none of them have mentioned a race of alien simian monkeys that don't have spines. What? So I think he was confusing the books, and that was close to the end of before we stopped talking.
I read the 3 Foundation books when I was much younger.
But they don't have an alien race in them that's trying to destroy the humans. I've never heard that. It's about humanity creating an individual that destroys humanity, if I remember correctly. And again, I haven't read them.
Sounds like he's sounds more like Ringworld.
I have one of the David Niven, right? Ringworld?
Yes, David Niven, Ringworld.
And
Ringworld.
Aaron Black. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
I would say there's a race in the Ring World that are, I forget what they call the engineers or something like that basically have, they're not trying to destroy humanity, but they've been manipulating humanity for thousands of years.
Are they like
behind the scenes?
Are they like gorillas that aren't able to bend and have a straight spine? And that Paul went on and on about this, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I just let him.
I have like I said, it's been so long, I don't remember.
Oh.
A lot of
now
barley hops and bong water have passed through my brain since then.
One Isaac Asimov book I have, and I've read probably the first fourth of it, but it's Space-Time, the Universe and Things, Other Things. But it's a science book, so half of it's like, what the fuck is he talking about? And I have to look it up. Oh, okay, now that makes sense.
Yes,
because these are all advanced astronomical shit that he's talking about.
I have a book by the Dalai Lama called The Universe in a Single Atom, and it talks about reconciling physics with metaphysics. It's a very interesting book. He's a very smart man. I like his take on what if technology or science proves some tenet of Buddhism to be untrue. His response is, well, then Buddhism will have to adapt.
Pretty much. It's a philosophy. It's not a religion. It's totally adaptable. Same thing with Confucianism. Same thing with Taoism.
But the underpinnings of it
are knowledge, wisdom through suffering.
Yes, wisdom through suffering. But the underpinnings of it still rely on the existence of a deity.
For me, be everything. Then you can judge anything. If you're going to check out religion, join them all. Be a Methodist, a Baptist, a Pentecost, be a Satanist, be a Druid, be a chicken worshiper, be Catholic, be politics, be Republican, be Democrat, be a liberal, be an independent, be a green, be this, be that, be the communist, be that guy, be a socialist, be that. Be everything. Then you could say whatever you want about anything. And no one could say shit. Well, you don't know. No, I was in that party for a year. What? Well, I got the mail. I held on to it to prove it. Look, I'm a Democrat. Look, I'm a Libertarian. Look, I'm a Republican. Drives people insane. They can't handle that. Because it's beyond the scope of... Oh, wait. So in Ring World, Aaron Black gave me the first book, I think. And there is a main character who's like 230 years old. And he has a neat-sounding name. But I can't remember his name.
I do not remember his name.
You know what I'm talking about, though, right?
I think, actually, the alien race is called the Puppeteers.
Sounds familiar from what he was saying.
And they've been basically the main character in the book is the culmination of thousands of years of breeding. And the trait they were breeding for is luck.
Speaking of sci-fi, and we absolutely 100% have to give this shout out and could probably spend the rest of tonight talking about him. It's Heinlein's birthday today.
One of my favorites. I read pretty much everything he wrote. My favorite is one of the ones he wrote later in his life called Job, A Comedy of Justice. Have you read that one?
No.
It's about a man, and he's, I believe, a Protestant preacher. And he gets basically pulled into a parallel dimension. And, you know, as he goes on, he keeps getting pulled into various parallel dimensions until finally he dies and he goes to heaven. And he's walking around. And everybody in heaven is wearing the white robes. They've got the wings. They've got the halo. But he's still dressed as a civilian. He's still dressed as he was in life. And everybody's like being very deferential to him. And he finally asks, what's going on? They're like, you don't know? He's like, you know,
I've just been me.
Saints appear in heaven as they were in life. You're a saint.
Whoa. How did that happen?
Well,
I got a raise.
He accepts the fact that he is now in heaven and now he's a saint. He bumps around heaven for a while. He goes looking for his girlfriend, who he met, who traveled across these dimensions with him. And, of course, she worships the Norse religion. And, let me go back. He died because the rapture came.
Oh. But if she's Norse,
he's looking around heaven for his girlfriend, and he's finally told, well, she had a different belief system. She went to her afterlife. What do you mean? It's like, well, she was Norse, so she went to the Norse afterlife. And he's like, well, this is some bullshit. If I can't have my woman, heaven can get fucked. They're like, okay, so be it. Eject. And drop him into hell. And he falls and he falls and he falls and he falls. And right before he falls into the lake of fire, this giant net reaches out and catches him and pulls him in. Satan says, welcome to hell. And hell turns out to not be such a bad place. And he's like, what about the lake of fire? He's like, you know, some people just won't have it any other way. And so, well, it's there for them. Yeah. But, you know, and it turns out hell is really just a place where all the people who didn't get into heaven or were rejected
Hanging out.
go. And he meets Satan, and Satan's explaining to them, like, Christianity is really kind of screwed. You can, be pious your entire life, have an impure thought, and die before you reach confession, and you're going to hell.
You're fucked.
You can be, the most horrible person on earth and
then
confess on your deathbed and go to heaven.
Saved.
And so, so he starts looking around hell for his girlfriend and finds out, no, she's absolutely not here. And eventually finds a way to go to her afterlife and rescue her. It's a very strange novel.
It sounds cool, like the movie What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams and Cuba Gooding Jr. I love that movie.
I would imagine that there's probably some influence there.
It's pretty much a Heinlin ripoff. Oh, Robin Williams is an artist. And there's a car accident, and he accidentally hits the car accident, and then he gets out of his car to help and figure out what's going on, and then another car gets launched, and he's dead. Like, the next thing, he wakes up and he's in a field of flowers. His heaven is all paint, and the Dalmatian dog he had when he was a kid was there, and then he looks around and he realizes, wait a minute, where's my wife and kids? Well, your kids are somewhere else, but I can't tell you about your wife. What do you mean? Well, we're not allowed to talk about that. And if I give any more away from the movie, it's going to spoil everything. Because things are happening parallel in both of the realities, in the real world and in heaven. So it's like... But the worst part is he has to go into hell. And it's the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So all of the stones in the street are people's faces. And they're all screaming at each other, and it's a mess.
It's a beautiful
Sounds
movie.
hellish.
It's what you described and Dante's Inferno. But it is a beautiful... It's very dark. Like watching the first Batman. Like, what? Turn up the gain. I can't say anything. But it's a glorious film. Now, the best is that they finally made a Starship Troopers movie, but it's very different from the book, everybody says.
Well, it's very different from the book in a lot of ways, but the one way that it parallels the book exactly is it keeps the politics the same.
The citizen and the civilian.
The citizen and the civilian, yes. The politics is there, and that is the really, truly important part of the story that makes it work. I think the visual thing that a lot of people were disappointed in is in Starship Troopers. What made him Starship Troopers is Starship pulled up in orbit around a planet, opened up its launch ports, and shot soldiers in powered suits into the atmosphere to land. So they landed from orbit in their powered suits and did their shit.
That's awesome.
That was
and
Starship
that would have looked
Troopers.
fucking awesome.
You hydrocephalic gorillas, do you want to live forever? Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts.
Isn't it on the bounce? I remember Gabe said that. Sorry, Clay.
Yeah, he's on the bounce. One of my favorite parts of the book is that paradigm shift. He's out on march, and everything's downhill from there. I really liked that.
Didn't you say like he's about to give up, and there was like this whole struggle that he's going through? I haven't read the book, guys.
Yeah, it's exactly. I mean,
it's only a novella. I believe it's a multi-chapter that was written in a serialized format, as a lot of his stories were published in magazines in a serialized format. And I believe this story was one of them. And so a lot of what he wrote early on doesn't actually, come to the full length of a novel. He had written a lot of
novelette,
shorter things and things that became novelized. Like The Puppet Masters, I believe, was one of his first episodic stories that ended up getting a novelization before he started novelizing things like Stranger in a Strange Land and The Moon is a Harsh Mistress, which is an amazing book.
Yes, it is.
I've watched a lot of documentaries on him and his books, but I've only read the book that Clay has now. And it's not one book, it's more of what you said. It's called the Heinlein Trio. And the chapter I was reading, it's like a rich guy who's hired these two operatives to do a covert mission. That's as far as I got. And then I have this terrible habit of putting stuff, oh, this is cool, I want to save this, and then I put it down and don't pick it up again for 5 years. What's going on? Oh my God, who the fuck are these people?
There were a couple of other books that stand out to me. There was one called Friday about the main protagonist of the book was a woman named Friday who was a test tube baby. She was grown in a vat. And so, of course, being grown in a vat, she didn't have a navel and, a few other things. And she worked as, I guess, a spy, operative, mercenary in a future where the United States are not united anymore. It's broken up into a number of smaller nations and city-states.
Oh, like Shadowrun.
Yes. And then the book I read in high school that kind of blew my mind was called I Will Fear No Evil. And it's about this guy who, is incredibly wealthy, basically a Robert Heinlein type, macho man, and he's doing everything in his life to basically preserve himself after he dies. And he invests in all this technology to be able to transplant his mind into another body after he dies. And then something happens and he dies of an accident prematurely, or something happens and he's dying. And so they go ahead with this procedure, but the only person they can find that's compatible, that's willing, is his assistant, who is female. And so in the second half of the book, he wakes up in a female body and, all of a sudden finds, finds out also that while his secretary gave up her body for him because she kind of semi-worshipped him, that her consciousness was still in there. So now they share a body.
Oh, great.
And he has to deal with the fact that now he's in a female body governed by female hormones and such. And all of a sudden finds out that he's attracted to men now because he's in a heterosexual female body.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to probably have some residual effects. I'll be right back. My turn to check on things.
So, my favorite novel, my favorite Heinlein character, of course, Lazarus Long. So I'm sure that Jingo knows about Lazarus Long.
Yes.
But Lazarus was born in like 1920 something, and he was part of the Howard Family Foundation. And the Howard Family Foundation were progerists, I guess you would. Did I just make up a word, Jingo? I don't know. They were into longevity. So they set up a foundation and a registry, so to speak, of people. And when you got to marrying age, if you married within the foundation, then you were pretty much set for life financially, that the foundation would continue to help you. And Lazarus Long was born Woodrow Wilson Smith.
Yes, I remember that.
And
that was the book Number of the Beast, right? And then the follow-up, The Cat Who Walks Through Walls?
No, those are a different character.
Are you sure? I thought Lazarus Long was the protagonist from...
Well, not in The Cat Who Walks Through Walls. That's I think that is along with that storyline of The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. I think that's that I get not really universe, but storyline. But Lazarus Long, he, as soon as the space race happens, he signs up to be a spacer, and he goes on these long outreach missions. And due to his progeria from his genetics and relativistic speed, Lazarus Long becomes the oldest man alive. And my favorite novel of all of the short stories of his life and adventures, because I mean, he's like 1,000 years old, because by the time the anti-aging treatments catch up, you know, he's needing them, and you know, he just refuses to die because he's a tough fella. You know, he's a kilt wearer and a blaster on his thigh.
According to Wikipedia, his first appearance was in the serialized story Methuselah's Children, which was expanded to a novel in 1958. In 1973, he appeared in Time Enough for Love. In 1980,
that's my favorite one.
The Number of the Beast. In 1985, The Cat Who Walks Through Walls.
Okay,
and
so he
in 1987, To Sail Beyond the Sunset. That one I haven't read, but I was going to say I've read the two, The Number of the Beast and The Cat Who Walks Through Walls. I remember I read The Number of the Beast the summer before I went into the Army.
Oh.
That one about
So
Sadie?
my favorite was Time Enough for Love, because all the short stories in Time Enough for Love are him being a family man, settling down. Because I mean, there's one of the stories where he goes to this almost feral planet. You know, that he's out there, and you know, he needs that blaster strapped to his thigh because he has to defend his homestead. You know, modern technology, old, you know, basic homesteading. But that was my favorite one because, you know, he's a family man. You know, what is it, Lapis Lazuli Long and I forget the other twin's name, but they're twin clones of his, but they're different sexes. Robert Heinlin was kind of a weirdo, you know, genius and kind of a weirdo. And, you know, going back to Starship Troopers, I personally think that he, as long as he was getting paid for the movie, he would have loved it.
Yeah. Okay.
He would have.
They don't look like this. Okay. Dizzy is a man.
He already,
okay.
I think he would have approved the movie. Didn't he? Wasn't he already passed on by the time the movie came out?
Yes, he was.
He
There was
died
another
in... Hold on. 88. He died on my birthday in 1988. Oh, man. May 8th. He was born today. Ron's birthday. How fucking weird is that?
Wow.
Whoa.
Synchronicity.
It's the same weirdness as Scott and I being born the same month, one day apart, same year. How often do you meet somebody like that in your life, where they're that close to your... That's not normal.
Now, other movies of Heinlein's that have been adapted into, or other stories that have been adapted into movies. In 1994, the novel The Puppet Masters was adapted into a movie. And it was a terrifying movie, and I think it would have been a lot bigger hit if the movie Invasion of the Body Snatchers didn't already exist, because it follows a similar story, even though The Puppet Masters is, you know, a very old story. Looking to see when it was first published. 1951. So it predates The Body Snatchers. But it was a very good movie about basically these slugs that can attach themselves to the base of your brain and take over your body. And they infest Washington and a bunch of other places. It's
Oh, yum. Heinlein, sorry. Robert. We'll call him by his first name. He's in the top 3. I mean, Clark.
Sci-Fi, yeah.
Yeah. Clark and him.
I find that Clark and Asimov were kind of dry at times. Asimov especially can be real dry. Great science in his science fiction, and he has some winners, but I read a lot of his stuff.
Bless you, my child.
Cheery.
Sorry, couldn't resist. I heard her sneeze. No, you're right, though. He is very dry.
If I had to pick 3 that were at the top of my sci-fi and weird fiction list, it would probably be Robert Heinlein, Roger Zelazny, and Philip K. Dick.
Yeah.
Zelazny is another one of those who's
Castle
really,
Amber.
Yeah, he wrote the Amber novels, and that's really what he is known for, is the Amber novels. But he wrote a plethora of science fiction novellas and short stories that,
Really?
while they never really caught on, I thought were very well done.
I haven't read the amount of sci-fi that... What's that?
Bradbury gets an honorable mention.
Bradbury always seems like he's racing to the end of his books. Like he doesn't want to, flush out the world, It's...
He just has a point to make. And
that's fine. Like Fahrenheit...
Yeah. Philip K. Dick was the same way. He had a point to make, and his stories would get to that point and then stop.
Yeah. I have the book, The Galactic Pot Healer, and I've started it 3 times, and it's a real thin book, but it's kind of dry and confusing in the beginning, because he's talking about basically the universe keeps going, and now ceramics are kind of obsolete kind of item, so he has to find his new place in the universe. So okay, that sounds very, very, deep and esoteric. And then I just shelved it and never finished it. One day I'll finish it again. It's not that long. Won't take me long. Have you ever read that one? Either one?
No, I have not.
No.
But he wrote a lot of very interesting and wild things.
Do androids dream of electric sheep? Blade Runner. We'll remember it for you wholesale. Total Recall.
Oh, yeah.
What's the other one? Scanner Darkly. But that actually is Scanner Darkly. It didn't change.
There's another
one of my favorites is... Oh, sorry, Jingo.
The Man in the High Castle, I believe, was Philip Dick.
Because I got him confused with Heinlein a couple weeks ago, remember? Wait a minute. Like Mila Jovovich and Mila Kunis last week. So I'm all right now.
Well, yeah. I did the same thing a couple of weeks ago, too. I confused who I'm about to mention, Orson Scott Card, with Heinlin.
Mm.
So that's another one of my... he's more sci-fi fantasy. Good bit of philosophy, too. Easy to digest.
Hey, baby.
Fantasy authors. 2 of my favorite authors. Well, one of my favorites that writes fantasy or wrote fantasy is Robert E. Howard. His stuff is amazing. Conan, Cole the Conqueror, Cormac, Solomon Kane.
Mm.
He also, and he wrote a lot of sports-related short stories, especially about boxing and baseball. And, what's sad is that, some of Heinlein's earlier stuff and a lot of Robert E. Howard's stuff, when World War II came and there was a paper drive, everybody took all their pulp magazines and turned them in. And, magazine publishers didn't keep archives of a lot of that shit, so it's just lost. It's gone. Never to return, which is sad.
I would have...
A lot of the comic books, pre-World War II comic books, a lot went the same way.
I read Steve Perry's, the writer, not the singer, Shadows of the Empire. And he basically wrote a pretty good-sized novel that is the in-between story of The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. That gives you how Leia becomes a bounty hunter, how... It would make a great series, but dear God, they should never make it a movie unless it's going to be 4.5 hours, because that's how long it'll take to explain everything. Because it's divvied up into, you're on Tatooine with Luke checking out Ben's thing. You're in Vader's temple, all pissed off about his life and dealing with having to work for the Emperor. You're dealing with Jabba on his way to see Zizor, his boss. Yes, Jabba the Hutt actually has a boss who is...
I know who Zizor was.
Yeah, he's a
He
Feline.
was big in the comic books, yes.
Oh, good. Well, he's the main antagonist in this novelette, because Leia captures his attention. There you go. And crazy.
I'll be glad when the Star Wars lets go of the Skywalker, saga
family
and starts telling other things.
Yeah, there's so
other
many
stories.
That's
because,
why Mando. Sorry, go ahead.
50,000 years. Mankind has been in the stars in the Star Wars universe for 50,000 years. The Duros was the race that discovered space travel and quickly shared it with the humans, who were one of the first races they discussed. And, there's 50,000 years, and it was maybe a couple of thousand years into that force powers were really developed in the proto Jedi and the other,
way before the Council.
50,000 years, and the New Republic, that ends in the end of the prequel stories, was only around for 1,000 years. So there's 49,000 years of Star Wars history that we haven't touched on.
And you're telling me the Skywalkers are the only family
the Skywalkers occupy about 120 years of 50,000 on the timeline.
They're basically,
can we be done with the Skywalkers?
Yeah, they're basically
and anything related. I want, go back 30, 40,000 years to the founding of the Jedi Order, where there are no Skywalkers, no Solos.
That's what we told.
Or no Organas.
That's what we told Cookie, and we had a whole new cast of characters, and the Y-wing was brand new, state of the art. There was no X-wing, no A-wing, no B-wing, no TIE fighters, none of that shit. It was all local fighter pilots and fighter ships. And it was great, man. You didn't have all that crap. We were just bounty hunting criminals. It was awesome. We didn't have to run, because I don't want to run into Darth Vader or Boba Fett or Han Solo. No. That's their story. I want to make my own.
Exactly.
Yeah, I want to hear legends.
Yeah.
Through the beginnings.
Well, okay.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. The problem with all of those role-playing games, and not Star Trek, because I have never played Star Trek, or Traveler. We were talking about Traveler. I have 2 of the Traveler 2300 boxes, but we were like 14 when that came out in '86 with Aliens, and we knew Traveler was a game, but none of us had any contact with someone that knew Traveler. So it was just the
one person I knew that was into Traveler made it unappealing.
Oh, damn it. I hate that, too. We talk about a lot of stuff. Oh, go ahead.
How did he make it unappealing, Jingo? If you don't mind sharing.
He always bragged it up as the greatest role-playing game ever, this and that, to the point where he would diss D&D and other role-playing games. But, for all his talk, when it came time for him to run a game, he wasn't really a very good game master. He was one of those people that, I want to be a game master so I can have all the attention in the room focused on me, so that I can then, in turn, pick one player among the table and make them my favorite and lavish all my attention back on them. And it's just
Gotcha.
exactly. And throughout all his years, he'll come up with a great idea for a backdrop, a scenario, a situation, and then hope that the player characters in the game carry the role play. And it lasts about 3 or 4 sessions and then collapses on itself. This is a person that drove me out of my last gaming crew because I started streaming, and I think he feared that if I got everybody streaming, he couldn't do it because he would be exposed for the shitty game master he really was.
Gotcha. That's, yeah. Well, there's many different kinds of DMs, every personality, but what's his name from Community said it best. I'm impartial. I owe you nothing. Argue for 20 minutes outside of the enemy's door where he can hear you, he's going to run away.
But make sure all his pistols are loaded.
Yeah. So, not just, I mean, besides, bad gaming, what? I mean, there's games that suck, but we pretty much talked about it last week with Wraith, where it was guilds, was the groups of, and it's just as horrible. But
I said it was the person that, and he was the only person I knew that was into Traveler, and so as a game master, he turned me off. So any game he recommended,
you're
kind of got a
once bitten, twice shy
from me out of that. And Star Trek, I've tried playing in Star Trek role-playing games. I think that this is an entirely too limited venue for role-playing games. Because basically one person's going to get to be the captain and he's going to get to tell everybody else what to do. And what are you going to all play the bridge officers who inexplicably are the ones going down on away missions, even though they're the senior command crew?
Yeah, you would never do that in real.
No.
Captain doesn't like Mr. Spock being me to, or Mr. Scott. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, no.
Captain only leaves when he. Yeah. So, well, no, because the problem is in a space game, I just want to build spaceships. I just want to redesign and build spaceships and modify the ones we have and put bigger engines. And I want to do all the things that you can't do in life. And 90% of the space games are just not designed to do what I want to do. And I love the idea of most of Starfinder. I don't like the way the hyperdrive thing works because you're just destroying reality, or the other one, the Hell engine. Oh, that's fun. Where all of a sudden it's just Event Horizon.
Yeah, no, with Starfinder, it's basically there's this, they don't call it the Void, they call it something else, and I can't remember what, but basically it's a trans-dimensional travel. You slip into this other space and then, slip back out of it at your destination. And there's variables to it, so.
Yeah. But they were talking
Starfinder, unfortunately, was structured on the back of Pathfinder, which is a D&D clone. And so it was kind of structured to be played like a D&D game, which unfortunately doesn't really work outside of D&D, which is why I invested a bunch in Starfinder and kind of eventually grew to despise it as the characters went up in levels in the game I was running. It has fun, but I think I could get a whole lot more mileage running a sci-fi game out of Savage Worlds where you don't have to be pigeonholed into a character type.
For everything Paul told me about the campaign you ran where they were internet celebrities, they were basically YouTube influencers.
Yes.
He basically described Shadowrun in space.
Yeah, a lot like that.
Corporations, governments, organized crime, only with a more D&D feel.
That's Starfinder. Basically, in Starfinder, there's this convenience called the Gap. At some point, just under 300 years ago.
It is a convenience. It's a convoluted plot device.
conscience kind, mankind, humanity, alienity, whatever you want to call it, collectively woke up from this, all at once.
Sleep.
Well, it wasn't a sleep because, you woke up and, it was like everything had been going on before you couldn't remember it because people were, hey, look, here I am. I don't remember yesterday, but I work at this job and I'm married to this woman and I have kids, but I can't remember yesterday. So it's like all of a sudden the universe popped into existence when in reality, Paizo, the publisher of Starfinder and Pathfinder, said, let's move Pathfinder 1,000,000 years into the future, but not explain how we got there.
It'll be great.
It'll be great.
Meanwhile,
and that's basic.
Yeah, all the experienced players are like, what? Gap?
Yeah. And so, unfortunately, it is intended to play like D&D. So, imagine all the trappings of D&D. Dragons and elves and magic and wizards and clerics and evil gods and monsters, and put it in the far future with cyborgs, supercomputers, mega corporations, starships, laser blasters, disintegrators,
hyperdrives,
and have it all together.
Yep.
Oh, they call it the drift.
The drift, not the gap.
No, the gap is the time.
The drift is
the drift is the hyperspace of the world.
Vacuum of stuff floating around.
I had fun with it, but really, I'm kind of moving away from D&D in a lot of ways towards Savage Worlds because it's not a class-based system. If you want to play a wizard who wears plate mail and has a two-handed sword, you can do that.
Go for it. Well, it's the same as Shadowrun. You can have cyberware or bioware if you're a magic user, but why would you want to do that? You're going to constantly be recalibrating that shit.
Now, the way I notice Shadowrun is, you kind of want to decide early on what your character track is going to be, and you want to make sure most of your points go into supporting that. Because if you diversify, you're going to end up with a watered-down character that can't do shit.
There's 2 archetypes I will not let you play when I'm running a Shadowrun game. The first one is an adept. You're going to ceiling before anybody else, and all you're going to do is bitch after a certain level. Well, why can't I do that? Well, I want to do that. Unless you have other magic players in the group, and then you're cheating, because once you initiate with those other magic players and you have access to their abilities, you're just jacking into the Matrix at that point. You're not really... Your character isn't improving. You're using other characters' improvements to better your character during combat, during surveillance, during sneaking around and shit. So it's not Panda. It's not the same. The other one is a burned-out mage. Why would you want to play somebody 20 years older than the rest of the party that's a fucking failure? And you have crappy cyberware that every time you throw a certain level spell and up, it's going to short circuit in one way or another. Why would you want to do that? Why?
Maybe this came from a later edition of Cyberpunk, but the one Cyberpunk game I played, it wasn't like your Netrunner. He was kind of like a wizard, but an esoteric wizard. In that he didn't have the formal study of, in D&D terms, it would be a sorcerer, somebody who naturally channels raw magic.
Okay, so...
And I don't think this character class existed in earlier versions of the game.
From the beginning, though, they broke it up into 3. Now it's more. But in the beginning, you're either an adept, you're either hermetic, or you're either shamanic. Adepts use magic to improve their body. They get faster, stronger, killing hands. Some of them can see into the astral plane, but they can't travel there. Some of them can travel there, but they can't see, which is totally dangerous, because if there's something huge waiting for you and you don't know and you shift in, you're lunch. The the third one would. Oh, but no. So when you were doing magic, was a animal totem involved, or was it a mathematical calculation? Because that's the difference
I don't think
between
it was either one.
It
It
had
was
to be
just-
one or the other for Shadowrun. And there's no magic in Cyberpunk. It's just technology.
No, this was Shadowrun.
Okay.
And I don't know, like I said, I don't know much about it. I don't have the source books anymore, but it was, I think it was an optional class that the game master wasn't going to let me play, but I leaned hard on him.
Fine. Like, I don't want you to be a decker, netrunner. I really don't want you to do that. Now, if you play a Street Sam or a Rigger or a Bodyguard or a Merc or a Rocker Boy or a former company man and you get a data jack, then I will let you jack in and deck. But if you have the problem with doing the Matrix stuff is it's like a thief in a hotel. You've excluded the rest of the party, and that was just you and that character rolling dice. A lot of what you said about that DM who would pick one person and that
With the original Cyberpunk, I believe everybody had the ability to go into the Matrix or into the web in Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Now, most people were very limited in what they could do. That was where the neuromancers shine. This is where all of the abilities, in the real world, they were very limited. But here, they were the ones that,
Yeah.
In Cyberpunk, it was everybody had an avatar. When you jacked in, you projected an avatar
Same thing.
a character.
Yep.
Similar to Ready Player One. Have you seen the movie?
Most of it, yes. Paul gave it to me. It's on my hard drive. I've seen.
So then you understand the idea that when you're jacked into the interface,
You don't look anything like you.
You don't look anything like you. Everybody's projecting an avatar.
Same in Shadowrun. So anybody can use a computer, but when you get a data jack installed, whether it's in your eye or in your temple or in your finger or in your, you can put it in your butt if you really wanted to, but that's going to look weird at work. But it is directly putting your brain into, like you said, the avatar, where instead of like Tron, you're so you're totally vulnerable when you're jacked in. Just like if the three of us were sitting at a bar and Clay was our caster and he's like, there's something up with that guy. I'm gonna follow him outside. You guys watch my body. And then all of a sudden he would sit motionless for a second and then slump down, and for all intent and purposes he would look asleep. But his soul would jump out of his body, tethered by a silver cord to his mortal husk, and then through the astral plane he would be allowed to go out the door when it opens, and because almost all the buildings have astral shielding.
Lava Being says the Matrix is the same way, only the difference is that everybody's jacked in all the time.
Yes, the Matrix. But I
I'd
found
be like
it.
Cypher. I'd be like, put me back in.
Put me back in.
I
found
fuck
it.
this shit.
Yeah. In all, it's the same as having a splicer in Star Wars. You're taking away from the rest of the party because it's just you and that one player on your own little private adventure while they're zipping around through the CPU, and then I go to this node and I open this, and then I open the elevator, and then I open that, and oh hey, codes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've come up with a way as a game master to facilitate people not being in the same place at the same time, because like I said, in a D&D game, it only makes sense for everybody to be in the same place at the same time.
Yeah.
In just about any other kind of RPG,
You can split them up.
it doesn't necessarily make sense. No matter what it is, fantasy, superheroes, pirates, there's going to be a time when you're going to want to divide up.
Shadowrun is its most terrifying in several instances, but one of them is a bug hunt, is a bug infestation, because that's another one of those critters, like the high-level D&D critters, where you have to kill it in the physical plane, you have to kill it in the, the astral plane. You have to kill it in the. So bugs are the same way, and fighting a bug is. I mean, they're just super powerful. That's why you don't even want to deal with those until your magic people are initiated, because you're just gonna get slaughtered. It's like attacking. It's like having a group of third level characters and giving them like a young adult dragon to fuck with. Oh, you need a red dragon. What? Yeah, he's like 200 years old. You're gonna love this. We're third level, absolutely. Everybody's crispy. It's over. Killing an elder god. He's right. Or Lava Bean is right. It's not a. I got a lucky roll. No, now you got to kill it this way. Now you got to. Bugs suck, but they're the. I mean, that's your ultimate card against the players. Besides a dragon or vampirism we didn't touch on this last week, but vampirism in Shadowrun is the way that you guys described 40K and a couple of those other movies where it's a genetic. They've synthesized it because vampirism affects each race differently. Orcs act differently. Trolls act differently. They become a whole new being. So, for the longest time, in the longest game I ran, I basically made an elf infected with vampirism, and he found Batman comics and became obsessed with the Joker.
I ran one of my long ago D&D games. I ran a pair of vampires. Jeremiah and Jonathan Morningmist were twins that were turned into vampires, but one of them, an adventurer, put a helm of opposite alignment on him and made him lawful good. And so he dedicated his life to fighting his brother, the other Morning Mist. And, of course, he ended up getting destroyed. And so the other Morning Mist, Jeremiah Morning Mist, ended up becoming a recurring villain in my game.
Nice.
And when that game broke up, another game master picked up the mantle of Jeremiah Morning Mist as a recurring villain and ran a whole game based around him.
The beauty of D&D is you have an infinitesimal amount of bad guy. What are they called now? BBEGs, the big bad end game.
BEG, Big Bad Evil Guys, or BEM, Bug-Eyed Monsters.
Yeah, it's that acronym. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to keep up. Not that I'm against acronyms. We've been yelling THACO for 30 fucking years. THACO! So...
THACO. If you don't know, you better ask somebody.
Oh, okay. I was going to say it. Hey, we did what we could. We're still trying to figure it out. We're on, what is it, edition 5,
first
6
edition
now?
D&D, where you had to take your roll and cross-reference it with an armor class on a matrix to see whether or not you hit.
You hit the guy.
Everything was on a matrix.
Finally, you just asked the DM.
First edition D&D, where let's think of everything you can do in the game and make a separate rule system for each one.
How long is a turn? How long? Well, that depends. In game or us fighting
D&D,
on the table?
In D&D, first edition, a combat round was 1 minute.
1 minute.
And that was, everybody got to act during that 1 minute, you know. Well, 10 minutes equal a turn. Or 10 combat rounds. Later editions of D&D truncated it to 10 or even 6 seconds to say that basically there are 10 combat rounds in a minute.
We always have those people that want to have discussions during combat. I'm going to go over it. Dude, you don't have time to say all that. You get like 2 words. It's happening this fast. In Shadowrun, it's even faster.
That's what I like about Paranoia, is in Paranoia they tell you hesitation should be met with rejection. 3 people sitting around the table. You go to the first guy. What do you want to do? Well, how far away is the... Okay, go to the next guy. What do you want to do?
Eat.
If you're not going to do something right now, we're moving on. We don't have time to answer your questions.
I love Paranoia. Here's
and
the
after
mission.
the first round, you don't get to do anything because you are wandering and looking around. Second round comes around, you're ready to do something. So you see how that works?
I love paranoia. What color are you? Oh, well, I'm red. Report to this briefing department. Okay, you go down there. Okay, here's your mission. Oh, that sounds awful. That's right. Now report to R&D. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was my favorite part.
Yeah.
Report to R&D.
It's always the best part.
You know, half of you aren't leaving. This is a role-playing game that gives you a character sheet that has 5 of your character on it.
Six clones.
Because some of them were going to die.
Sappy, she found her toy. She cries when she finds her toy.
And some of them were going to die, and you knew when you got sent to R&D, everybody was going to lose at least one character there.
Oh, wait a minute.
Because it would do things like R&D, everything they gave you there, half of it had a use if you figured out how to use it. Half of it was just deadly if you tried to use it at all.
Yeah, it killed you.
For instance, you get issued a pair of rocket boots. Great, rocket boots. Fire them up. All right. Odd, even. Odd, you fly straight up and hit the roof and die. Even, you fly sideways and hit the wall and die because you're moving at terminal velocity in a pair of boots that have no way to steer.
No.
And
Tangler spray.
It would be like that. It's like, you know, here's 6 devices. You guys each get one, knowing that 3 of them were going to kill somebody outright. And you never knew. The safe one was probably the one you didn't want.
Every time we were given Tangler spray, and it didn't matter who was DMing, it always did. Which, you think this would be a great thing. Offensive, defensive, aerosol can, and it's supposed to shoot out multiple, like, silly string. Only it's supposed to be the most sticky adhesive that the R&D department can come up with. Every time that can fucking explodes, and now it's covering you and the party, and nobody can move. Next clone. God damn it. Okay. Number 4. Ah!
That was a game where, you know, you don't run that as a campaign.
No. Paranoia is, okay, you guys are starting to yell at each other. You're taking this dungeon crawl way too seriously. We're going to take a couple-week break. What? No! You can't do that. We're going to play Paranoia. Okay. Because now they can kill each other, but not hurt the main characters in it. And you literally take people with beats and you put them in each other. Yeah, they have to. You put the guys that are mad at each other in.
You had to have a reason that you could prove treason. But everything was treason.
Yeah, everything's treason.
That was the best. If you are in a secret society, you are committing treason.
You're a commie mutant traitor.
Everybody's in a secret society.
Everybody.
If you have a mutant power, you're committing treason. Everybody has a mutant power.
Everybody. I miss Paranoia. But the game...
If you belong to a secret society... And of course, each secret society had these truly mental goals that, you know, you had to try to accomplish constantly.
They're just insane.
And at any sign that you were treasonous, somebody else is going to basically burn you to smoke.
And the group has terrible jobs. You're the happiness officer. You're the equipment guy. You're the cameraman. You're the hygiene officer. I need an exact detail every 5 minutes how everyone's hygiene is by the end of the mission. Great. I can't wait to fill this job. Nobody wants to be the hygiene officer. Have you showered today? When have I had time to shower? You haven't showered either. That's not up to you. I'm the one with the clipboard. According to the clipboard, I did shower today.
Now, the last time I played Paranoia, I played it at a game convention. And,
oh my God.
They had everybody randomly roll up your character. And, of course, the game master realized that a few people were cheating. So as soon as everybody got their character made up, he's like, all right, now pass your character sheet 2 spaces to the left.
I'll show you bastards. Oh, I'm trying to remember.
And then she had a bucket full of random objects like rubber ducks and squirt guns and parts of tools and incomplete gadgets and shit.
That's perfect.
And, you know,
you have
gave
all
it
this,
to you, and it's
yeah.
like, you have to tell me what it is and how it works.
'Cause
And so we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's like Fallout. They find crap all the time. They have no idea what it is because there's like a 500-year gap between our society and theirs.
It's like Gamma World.
Yeah.
Oh,
They don't know.
You want to start experimenting? Let's roll on the artifact flowchart.
See what this thing does.
Because the artifact flowchart could very well end up with you as a pile of radioactive dust.
Probably for the most part.
If
Eventually,
you're lucky, sentient radioactive dust.
the worst thing about Shadowrun, Paranoia, is if you get injured, you have to go to the doc bot. You're probably not going to survive. If you're lucky enough to solve the mission, you still have to go to debriefing. You have to explain everything that happened. Venus is crying again.
Good old days.
And then the best part is that all this you try to do the mission for the game, but really you just all end up helping everybody do their secret society missions, because if anybody turns anybody else in, you're all fucked. So we might as well all work together, since we'll all hang
Either
together
that,
if
or
we
it
get
just
caught.
devolves into people looking. Oh, treason!
Treason! Basically, what used to happen. It's human nature. You always have. If you're playing in a large group, there's always going to be that one male or female that is a fussy, bureaucratic kind of person. And as much as you enjoy their company and everything, they tend to wear on the rest of the party. And when that happens and you play Paranoia, that person inevitably gets chosen to be in the secret society, the First Church of Christ Computer Programmers, which next to the Sierra Club is the most hated group out of all of them. Because there's like 30 of them, aren't there? There's Free Enterprise, the Frankenstein Destroyers, the Illuminati, the Death Leopards, Purge. Purge wants to just destroy everything. Isn't their motto? Fragile items dropped from high heights make pretty sounds. That's like their motto. The Frankenstein Destroyers, they want to destroy all robots. They just hate robots. The Communists, the FCCCP. Yeah, we used to always make that, because the Death Leopards and Purge will gang up on that individual, and that's usually their mission, is to destroy him or kill him, because they hate each other. There are two secret societies that just are at absolute odds.
The good old days when
Yeah.
gaming had less rules than it does now.
There's some.
And really, gaming now has changed. That's why I introduced you guys to old school gaming.
Yeah.
Before we get into the more modern stuff, where things are a lot more forgiving and your characters are a lot more capable.
Gaming is going to change and evolve, and it's going to keep going. But we found out from this council, from dissecting Wraith and World of Darkness, and you can tell, because World of Darkness was big in the early 90s. It was on fire. And then it just kind of wasn't as popular, and the next thing you know, it's books.
I kind of have an explanation for that. In that, when it dropped, all the people that wanted to get into it did. They bought up all the books, and they delved deep into the lore, and they created a rather insular sub-community that, once it got going, really didn't welcome a lot of newcomers in. It became kind of an inaccessible thing, in the same way that 3rd edition D&D. It required a certain level of system mastery, and if you didn't have it, the people that did have it weren't really patient to play with you. 3rd edition D&D started that.
Yeah.
And I think it's part of why 4th edition D&D came about, because 3rd edition D&D made D&D a closed hobby. It made it an inaccessible hobby to a lot of people. And,
it changed a lot of the simplicity in it and made it what it is now, more and more and more and more and more like a video game with every iteration. Let me find out while Venus is screaming and flip the breaker. I'll be back in 2 minutes.
I do not hear you.
So what do you think makes a good sci-fi DM?
A sci-fi game master?
Yes.
The ability to multitask, because like I said, if you're going to run a science fiction type game, you have to be willing to allow the players to be in multiple places at once. And, what makes a good science fiction game master is what makes a good game master, period. One, trying to recognize as, what kind of game your players want. You start off, you present the game you want to play. You see what people respond to and what they don't, and you kind of give them more of what they respond to. And so even without thinking about it, you're kind of shaping that game to your players. And any game master who is unwilling to allow the characters to help shape his world, isn't going to last very long.
Clay and I were talking.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I just said okay.
Oh,
Go ahead.
so I didn't mean this to become a negative on Paul, because that's obviously we're best friends for you guys longer, but Ed, who is who you see pop up with playing video games. Ed is a ceramics master. He and I play Fallout 76 together. He expressed interest in DMing, and he was coming up with a story and a world and everything. And I was encouraging him, and Paul just kind of lost it. No, we can't have it. Like, what? We get to play together if he does it. And so what if we have to hold his hand for the first
I would
4
be
months?
glad to help Ed run a game.
Me too. I mean, you and I are down for it, but Paul, it was like proposing putting tomatoes in fruit salad. What the fuck is wrong with you? Oh my God. Blah! Whoa. And it was nothing against Ed, because he loved Ed. It was just
I
this
think Paul
weird.
just didn't want the competition.
I never thought of it that way. Oh my God, you're right. That's why he's a better player. He was a great player. He was just a tyrannical rules lawyer DM. It was like a totally different person. It was just bizarre. But, like you guys were saying, with TSR, D&D became fantastically popular. But it wasn't the only game. They did Warriors of Barsoom, which was based on the John Carter of Mars, Edgar Rice Burroughs. They did Marvel Superheroes, Top Secret. And we were talking about it before, and we've talked about it many times. I think that D&D came off so much better and was so much more successful to this day, where Gangbusters and Marvel Superheroes and Top Secret and Boot Hill and all of your other middle games were shelved along with Star Frontiers, because you had more things to fight and kill.
I think the mistake they made, and I see a lot of later gaming companies didn't make the same mistake, is every time they came out with a new role-playing game, they came out with a completely new and different set of rules for it.
Yeah.
Whereas, let's say, Chaosium, who made Call of Cthulhu, who made Stormbringer, who made RuneQuest, who made several other games, all based on the same game engine.
Here's the engine.
So that you could take elements from one and use them in another. You could, Champions and the other hero games that followed did the same thing. Savage Worlds and GURPS. GURPS was, I think, the first
Steve
to
Jackson
really
and
put
GURPS.
out, here is a generic role-playing game that doesn't have a genre, it doesn't have a theme, it's just a set of rules that can work with anything. And GURPS was the first. Hero System, I think, I don't know if they ever published a separate hero system before that, but Savage Worlds, I think, has kind of picked up and carried the torch in that realm, and that they've got so many different offerings, and they've got a game engine that works with it all.
And there's always been like horror games, for example. There's a game called Chill that predates Call of Cthulhu that I remember seeing when I was like 11, 12 in a box, and Eric Holstead had it. And it was, you're basically a paranormal investigator in the like late 1800s.
I vaguely remember that.
But I mean,
Um,
Gangbusters, you're only killing humans. Boot Hill, you're only killing humans. D&D, you can kill a whole bunch of stuff. Gamma World, you can kill a whole bunch of stuff, but a lot of it is left up to the DM to create. Same thing with Star Frontiers. Here's a game that's completely open, where D&D...
Gamma World, at least, was D&D adjacent, so D&D monsters would mostly work.
Yep.
But I think that was a mistake. Had TSR decided, let's codify the rules and come out with other games based on these same rules. TSR might have stayed around.
It was a zero scratch up and character dies. Yeah, that was paranoia. Sorry, I read that late.
But yeah, I could do a whole stream on why TSR failed.
Well, we'll have to do that for one. We had to always end up talking about TSR. We might as well do a whole show on it. We talk about it every night, really.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was so much a part of our lives. I never played Tunnels and Trolls. I never played Traveler. I never played so many other games.
I did play Tunnels and Trolls because, well, the game said game club that I belonged to as a kid here. Several people knew Mike Stackpole that created Tunnels and Trolls. He's a Phoenix local.
Is he really?
Yes, Mike Stackpole was a City of Phoenix librarian, and he got introduced to D&D and thought that it was too complicated, so he came up with Tunnels and Trolls, which uses 2 six-sided dice.
I did not know that.
Yes.
Learn something new every day,
Tunnels
kids.
and Trolls originated locally. It's a local, and it was the second role-playing game ever. It predates Traveler. It predates, pretty much
so many
everything
others.
except D&D. It was the second role-playing game ever.
Wow. You heard about it, but only like one parents.
I played it a few times.
Right on. Parents of one of the guys that Ron and I grew up with, they had the book, and that was the first time I ever saw it. And they were trying to get other adults to play it, but it was
only one book. Yeah, it wasn't too deep. I remember I played a fairy.
That you could. But there's always escapism. Backgammon, chess, dominoes, it doesn't matter. Cards.
Yes, people talk about later versions of D&D and other games. Well, you can't role play. It's like, well, that's nonsense. How much you can role play has nothing to do with the game system.
Yeah.
You could play Monopoly and role play.
If you really wanted to.
Make car noises when you're the car going around the thing,
Isn't there a dog? You could
make
be barking.
wee-woo noises when you go to jail,
Yeah.
If you wanted to play Parcheesi, give your character a name and some stats. Role play, you could role play. You don't need a game to role play.
You could make Parcheesi a really fun drinking game if you had to say and yell different things during different totals of the dice at different times. You fucked that up. You got to take a shot. Oh, God, I'm already hammered. I'm not driving home tonight. I don't recommend that, like drinking to the song Roxanne. Don't take a shot every time he says Roxanne. You're going to die.
Our favorite drinking game when we were younger was Hi Bob. Watch the Bob Newhart show.
Hi, Bob.
And every time somebody says Hi Bob, you take a drink. You won't make it to the end of the episode.
No, you'll be dead before then. You'll be Bunny Berrigan level drunk.
You would never believe how often Hi Bob. Every time anybody walks into a room where his character's in there, it's Hi Bob. It's like,
and
holy
especially
shit.
that really works for his work because, the dentist shares Marcia Wallace, and she's the receptionist for a couple offices. She's not just his receptionist. She's like
because there's a couple of other. There's a dentist. There's Jerry was the dentist, and there was a couple of other people.
Because Jerry was actually an interesting character on the show. He wasn't too. He was like a really toned down Wilson from the Tool Time.
Kind of.
Because he had hobbies and interests and other stuff, but I mean, he was just he's a dentist. That's what he does. There's his office. I got to watch the whole show again. But then, even so, how many times does what's her name say Bob? Bob.
No, the rule was hi, Bob.
Hi, Bob. But still, she is a major contributor to the Bob noise.
Yes.
But then again, that's what happens in a marriage. Your wife says your name a lot, especially when you're pissing her off. I wouldn't know anything about that. Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Oh, thank you. But, I mean, Warhammer, because we were trying to think of other space games. There's got to be more out there. There's one called, what's it called? It's,
There's a couple for Savage Worlds. One called,
what is the one that it was around the same...
Dying Suns.
Dying Sun sounds cool. What's the one that it was around the same time as World of Darkness, but it wasn't them at all, but it was all over the shelves, and it was one word, and...
Rifts?
Oh, no. I've got tons of books of You want to talk about nightmare games, Rifts is at the top of the list. I mean, it's as frustrating to play as Wraith and all those World of Darkness. Only you could do a lot of stuff in, so it's okay.
What makes it worse is the entire Rifts line was republished for Savage Worlds. So there's Savage Worlds Rifts too.
Really?
Yeah, I never much got into it, but I played in it some.
I would not want to play a Rifts with any less than 6 people in the
Lava
party.
Being says alternative.
Yes! Thank you. Isn't that
I
a space
actually have
game?
a copy of those rules. It was a science fiction game, and it was published by TSR. It was, I think, one of the last things they published.
Thank you. Alternity. Thank you very much. It was right on the tip of my mind. I'm like, Eternals? No, that can't be. Immortals? No, that's not it. Alternity. So please elaborate, enlighten us, to both of you, because I don't know.
I know nothing. Like I said, I own the rule book. Somebody gave it to me a few years back, but I haven't cracked it.
Wow.
At the time
made
it
that
came
much
out,
of an
I was very
impression.
interested in it, but I was young and very poor at the time and did not have money to spend on game books. So
Now
that
I'm-
one passed me by.
Now I'm old and very poor at the time.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And then when TSR was bought out by WotC, they came out with the D20 Star Wars, a whole I mean, you've got the West End Star Wars, which is the original, and you've got the D20 Star Wars. And then right before 4th edition D&D came out, they came out with a new version of Star Wars called the Saga Edition, which was basically 4th edition D&D, but for Star Wars. It was the prototype of what would become 4th edition D&D.
Again, we've said it a bunch of times, I love the Star Wars universe, but not with the Skywalkers walking around. And Star Trek would be cool, or even Men in Black, but I don't want to run into I don't want to run into Captain Picard or Captain Kirk, or you want to make your own.
No. The one Star Trek game I played in, and I didn't want to play in it, and the game master kind of browbeat me. I said, all
I
right,
had to look it up.
but I'm going to not play a Starfleet character. He's like, how are you going to play in a Star Trek game and not be a Starfleet character? It's like, I'm going to be an ambassador at large aboard the starship. I don't command it. I'm not part of the command structure, but I'm aboard the starship.
That's
And
interesting.
I was the Federation ambassador to Denobula, My name was Prescott Millhouse Mudd, and I was the grandfather of Harcourt Fenton Mudd. And my play-by was Kirkwood Smith.
Excellent. I
So
loved him.
yeah, we used to joke is like the greatest role he never performed
Love Kurtwood Smith.
because I was such an asshole. Um, do you know Joe Cisneros?
Sounds really familiar.
One of Paul's friends, one of his computer nerd friends, was into WoW with him for a while.
Then probably, yeah.
Short, kind of heavy set, beardy.
Probably. I probably
Joe,
talked to him.
Joe was playing the captain in that Star Trek game.
Nice.
And I kind of, as the ambassador on board the ship, undermined him in every way possible. He was the commander of the ship, but I was calling most of the shots, and it drove him nuts.
I would, if you had the choice in the Star Trek, first, yes, be in a Federation ship, but you want to be in, like, the exploration class. You don't want to be, on patrol. That's going to be boring. But the other character would be played like a Mud character from the original series that has the women and
he was a total womanizer,
but he was more of like a
Ambassador
con
Smarmy.
man and
Harcourt Fenton Mudd
Yeah.
was a con man and a grifter. And I was like, what would his grandfather be like? His grandfather was a Federation ambassador.
yes, absolutely. You get to sell the Enterprise tribbles, do stuff like that. Because each one of, now I haven't seen the Enterprise with Bakula as what is it, Archer?
I watched a few of the first season, but
I saw one.
I'm not a big Trek fan. I
am.
won't watch a show just because it's Star Trek.
Okay. The original series, there was a lot of figuring out what they could do. And Fry in Futurama said it best. Come on, 80 episodes? About 30 good ones. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, yeah, okay, from Star Trek. But the Next Generation was a big improvement. Except for the Asian guy in the dress. Other than that, I mean, they had better plots, they had better sets, they had more
To
loyal
a certain
following.
extent, in the first season, a lot of it got formulaic before they started getting, brave and experimenting. One thing, at that time, Babylon 5 also came out. And the main difference, to sum up, between Babylon 5 and Star Trek is that at the end of the episode, Star Trek has saved the day. Unless it's a very rare two-part episode. In Babylon 5, they have resolved, or at least semi-resolved, whatever the current crisis was, but with the overall story, there are more questions now than there were before and fewer answers, and things just get worse and more complicated. And, every once in a while, Babylon 5 will save the day, but it's always with they did this, but wait, there's more. While they were saving the day, this messed up thing happened. And, it's kind of like a Tupperware bowl where the lid doesn't quite fit and
Gotcha.
You can't quite seem to get the whole lid down tight. There's always that one little bit that's popped up, and no matter how you try to push it down, and it pops up somewhere else.
I have to agree with Deep Space Nine. Yeah. That's not my joke. That's a Don Coffee joke. Deep Throat 9. Good concept. Phenomenal cast. The Kardashians are going to attack any moment. Next week. Maybe next week. No. Next season. Kardashians.
Space
Next
Nine
week. No. The
had its
Kardashians.
moments, but we ended up calling it Melrose Space.
Yeah.
Because it did get dramatic at times. But again, it was
I-
Star Trek, and it wasn't something that that I was dedicated to watching all of.
Great cast and plots that went. It was a Scooby-Doo episode just about every week. And that's not a bad thing, because we love Scoob and Shag. But, dude, don't promise me a fucking intergalactic war and then tell me it's going to be next week, and then next week, and then next week. And I saw the first episode, and I thought this was really neat. And then I saw a season or two later, and it's like, nothing's really changed. Hope for the future. But again, stellar cast. So... And then I did Voyager. She's obsessed with coffee. There's a Native American officer finally. I don't know much more about the show.
There is a holographic doctor.
Oh, yes.
There is a half Klingon female.
Yeah.
There is a black Vulcan.
Oh, that's right.
The cook
Because I met him in
is
real
an
life.
alien that the cook is an alien that they met in Delta Quadrant while they were there. Helix, who was always making nasty shit that nobody could eat
That's handy.
because he didn't understand human and other physiognomy.
What was the young girl that was the alien that they met out there as well? Didn't she go through some kind of metamorphosis?
No, I don't know about the young girl, but wasn't 7 of 9 come from?
I think she's Voyager, yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta bring me
she
your
was the
ball.
This one was Neelix's friend. I forget her name.
That probably came in episodes after I stopped watching the show.
And then I didn't see Enterprise. And then the new Star Trek, they're like obsessed with the fact that they can write swear words into the. It's like, dude, that's not what they do in the military. That's for after when they're drinking. They don't say swear words to a commanding officer. The character Kess.
Was Kess the name of that character?
Yes. Yes.
I believe you. Yes. Because then they let J.J. Abrams fuck Star Trek up, and the first thing he does is destroy Vulcan. Because he's a giant child.
That's not what upsets me. J.J. Abrams' Star Trek. What upsets me about J.J. Abrams' Star Trek is what they did to the Uhura character.
Yep.
She's they implied that she basically slept her way into the position that she has.
Which didn't happen in the books and in the canon and all the other.
Yeah, no, it really kind of belittled the character. You know, Zoe Saldana, great actress.
Oh yeah,
she did the role well, but you know, you can't act out of the way a role is written.
The way that the Critical Drinker breaks it down for the second movie and why Uhura, because it's more
second movie makes me sick.
Well, it doesn't make any sense, and it has like, it's just
no. You know, all of a sudden, teleporter technology can teleport you halfway across the galaxy. What?
Not only that.
No.
Period. But, I mean, that's a convoluted plot device like time travel. What's even more disgusting is you take a complex character named, like, Khan, played by Ricardo Montalban, and that's a whole episode in the original thing. And first of all, the problem with the trio of the new Abrams awful Star Trek is it's poor literature. It's bad writing. And the reason that is, and the Critical Drinker says so, is the beauty of the original series is Kirk is the captain and he's in charge, but no fucking leader in their right mind thinks they have all of the answers. Like, George Washington is one of the best, where I don't know everything. People know more than me. Best to have councils with people, and then I can make my own decision after I've heard everybody's take on it, their point of view, their take. So, Bones, well, I mean, Spock is cold logic. Here's the situation. Here is the most logical outcome. Here is the fallout of the outcome. Bones is your country doctor and all of humanity. And oh, Jim, don't you understand? Spock, you Vulcan, you're a pointy-eared freak. And so Kirk gets to sit back and hear. That's what makes the original show beautiful. Not that it's about space or it's more military or it's the giant gung-ho superorganism that we all love. It's it's watching this debate between these two vastly extreme characters. God, man, I'm not a Mason. I'm a doctor. I'm not this. I'm a doctor. It's part of every aspect of DeForest Kelly's portrayal of McCoy. Because he isn't just an officer and a old country moon doctor. Over the course of the original show and in the movies and in the Next Generation, McCoy is elevated to admiral. They didn't give that to him just because he was hanging around and he was a cantankerous, fussy old man. They gave it to him because he made leaps and bounds in experimental medicine for humankind and alien alike.
Yes, he was a genius. And, he was a genius with a country aesthetic. So, I believe that, just like he said, he was every bit the intellectual equal of Spock. Whereas Spock was cold logic, McCoy was just raw emotion.
So Kirk, watching these two grown men, geniuses, and one half alien, have a debate, he's got the best answer right there. There's no waiting. Boom. So it cheapens it and it makes it less interesting. Because now McCoy isn't even in the car. He's back on the ship. And the focus isn't on this debate of the moral question, this calamity of humanity that we have to figure out from our higher plane on the starship of what to do on this planet and the prime directive and all this. No, it's listening to Uhura and Spock quarrel. As Kirk continuously rolls his... Why would the captain have to endure their relationship? Not just for 5 minutes, for multiple fucking scenes through multiple movies. What? I mean, it happens on the Orville, and that's funny, but that's not how military works.
No, it's not. But the heavy-duty truckers will all tell you over and over again, Starfleet is not a military organization. To which I say, bullshit.
It's paramilitary.
It's
military.
They, maybe not all of their missions are military, but, they carry military payloads on board those ships.
Hell, fuck yeah, they do. Those ships are flying bombs, really. All they have to do is overload the engine. That happens on so many episodes. The reason that Abrams messed it up is because Khan and the Drinker went into that when he talked about The Wrath of Khan, the original movie, because Star Trek II is one of the best sci-fi movies ever made. And the reason for that is because it has all of the literary things that you need to make a great story. You've got rival superpowered people. You've got, Kirk isn't really superpowered, but Spock kind of is. So you've got this really interesting group of people against this really interesting group of people. I mean, they find Khan, they revive him in the show, and some of his people. He basically stages a coup and takes over the Enterprise. And Kirk has to use the ship he knows to outsmart basically a supervillain. Because Khan has a genius level intelligence, and he's genetically altered. And they found him in, it's like a floating crypt that they found him on.
As much as I like Benedict Cumberbatch as an actor, I think he is overplayed and overexposed. They cast him in too many things.
Yeah.
And casting him as Khan was a tragedy, especially since there are, any one of a number of not American or British looking actors that could have stepped in and played the role. Yes, Ricardo Montalban, I believe, I don't know if he's Mexican or Cuban or Puerto Rican. I don't know where he's from, but he's Hispanic. And the fact that he wasn't a white guy is what helped make it work. I think somebody like Oded Fehr from the Mummy movies would have made a great Khan. He's a wonderful actor.
You could have, and again, I'm a big fan of Cumberbatch too. I thought he was great as Holmes. I think he's great as Doctor Strange.
Although
now,
I wanted to see Ethan Hawke as Doctor Strange.
Ethan Hawke would do a good job. Robert Downey Jr. would have been a good Doctor Strange. Had that gone another way, and his first movie was Doctor Strange and not Iron Man, I think the same propel back into superstardom that he's always deserved would have happened, but I think it would have been Doctor Strange instead of Iron Man. But the problem is Doctor Strange is they really dumb it down for Hollywood. It's a way more complex, because you're dealing with all these dimensions and magics and the movie would be 4 hours. It would be like the same thing as like they shouldn't put the Silver Surfer in any other movies. Give him his own trilogy. We're gonna watch it. It'll be fine. Don't have Galactus come till the end of the first movie and like Fellowship of the Ring, leave it on. What's gonna happen to Oren Rand? Well, he's gonna be a slave, but it's gonna save his people. And then later, never mind. Because there's some Marvel stories that you gotta series it out or mini-series it out. You can't just, boom, this guy.
I like that superhero movies are finally getting to the point, and the new Superman movie did this, in that they didn't give us
the origin.
The origin story. We don't need any more origin stories. We all know how Batman became Batman. We all know where Superman came from.
We all know what happened to Spider-Man.
We all know that the Green Lantern ring found Hal Jordan, and that the Green Lantern ring seeks out whoever. And so that's what I liked about the Superman movie. Is like, here's Superman. He's been around for a few years. There was a little exposition at the beginning of the movie to explain where he came from and, superheroes in general. But, he's been around a couple of years. Here's the Green Lantern. He's an established Green Lantern. Hawk Girl, she's established. Mr. Terrific, these are the heroes that the city depends upon. When Metropolis is in danger, these guys are the ones that show up.
I have to say, too, that I watched both of the Suicide Squad movies. And as much as I absolutely hate Jared Leto as the Joker, because he's not the Joker. You're Jim Carrey pretending to be somebody else, pretending to be the Joker. It's Victor Victoria. What is this? So, I did like the way Ben Affleck appeared as Batman. They didn't do a big thing. He comes out of fucking nowhere. He fucks shit up and messes up their,
Yeah, my problem with Ben Affleck as Batman is, Ben Affleck on a motorcycle with the machine guns gunning people down.
Yeah, Batman.
As Batman. He was Bat Murder Man.
Yeah, Batman, those are rubber bullets if it's Batman. If he has to use bullets, they're going to be rubber. But, he played okay as Daredevil. He was believable as Matt Murdock. And that movie,
Yeah.
everybody hated that movie. It was okay. I mean, it was
I
close to
didn't hate that
Daredevil.
movie.
It was all
What I
right.
hated about that movie was studio interference. They wanted a Batman movie, so they
Yeah.
made it more like a Batman movie. Matt
Which,
Murdock. At the beginning of the movie, we see him basically kill that guy, the one that got away. I was found innocent, not by me. You weren't.
yeah,
And he
that's
kills him. He leaves
not
him to get
what.
run over by a train. That's not.
That's not
That's
Daredevil.
not Daredevil. And they made it more of a Batman movie.
Yeah.
They made it more about action and gadgets and less about, you know.
Court and
Although
detective
I
work.
really
And
liked Michael Clark Duncan's Kingpin. The only thing I
he did a
didn't
good
like
job.
about it is Michael Clark Duncan, despite being a huge and physically intimidating man, just cannot do menacing. He just looks too happy in everything he does
Yeah,
to look like a menace.
that kind of makes him scarier, though. The smiling.
It does.
I'll
That's
help
why
you.
he worked well as a kingpin.
Yes, he does. There are several
And,
deaths in Batman
know,
1989.
Even though I am not a fan of the actor Vincent D'Onofrio, he does a good kingpin.
Oh, he's great.
He
I'm a big fan of his, but yeah, he does great as the Kingpin.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of some of his other work, but I liked him, and I thought he did a good kingpin.
There's only like 3 movies where he plays just like a normal guy. Blood of Heroes,
Yeah, he always
The
plays
Adventures
the
in
crazy guy.
Babysitting. Yeah, he always plays like a total maniac or Gomer Pyle, or even in The Cell where he's just unhinged for an hour and a half, cutting people up and making art with their organs, and it's just disturbing. Because that movie's cool. It's a double race against time. She's trying to find out where Jennifer Lopez is trying to find out where he is in his mind, because he's there in the room, but the police are trying to find the victim. Because there's a video of a girl in this room, and the room is filling up with water, and she is just panicking. And they can't find out where this room is. So she goes into his mind to find him, to get him to tell where the room is. And it doesn't go as she plans because, well, he's a psycho, and you're going into his mind. Why did you think that this was a good idea? Yeah. She gets captured a couple times. Go figure. But he's also obsessed with her because, well, she's Jennifer Lopez. Jenny from the Bronx. It's written right there. I'm hot. Oh, yes, it's in the script. We saw that. But, so that's what made The Cell interesting, is you have the 2 double stories. You've got the homicidal maniac that's killing women, and then you've got she's like a dreamscape, for lack of a better term, or but you've seen it, Clay? The Cell?
Oh yeah, yeah. I liked it. It was really good. Very dramatic, and it really pulled you into the story. It tugs at your heartstrings too. Really good movie.
Yeah. Because she goes through his whole mind. He did not have a good childhood, and all his memories are there. So it's a fucked up movie. If you're squeamish, do not watch this film.
No.
If you have a heart condition, do not go into a haunt.
Yeah, movie gore and violence never bothers me, no matter how graphic, because there's a disconnect in my mind that knows it's not real. No matter how real it looks,
It's not
that didn't actually happen. Somebody very convincingly made it look like that happened.
I remember
If I was watching an actual snuff film or somebody actually dying, I don't think I could handle that, because my mind would immediately try to find the flaws. That can't be real. Where are the flaws that prove to me it's not real?
Yeah.
And then when I can't do that, that's when, I'll start losing my grip.
Yeah. I worked at this one place, and this guy, we were talking, and we were the only 2 at the job that had been extras in movies. And we started talking about it. He's like, "Oh, what did you do?" I'm like, "Oh, I was in 91, 92. I was a high school student. What did you do? Oh, because he was a black guy with dreadlocks. He's like, well, I was part of a prison scene, and we had to, we had to rape the main character. And he's like, I feel bad. I'm like, you didn't really do it. I mean, it's not real. Somebody yelled cut like 2 minutes after you started, pretending to. He's like, well, yeah, I guess if you look at it that way. I'm like, but you don't have to feel bad. If anything, just chalk it up as another experience. So yeah, you play all kinds of stuff in movies. Oh, movies, Superman. So, circle back, come with me, ADHD children. Tesla, besides the smear campaign with Edison, really gets a negative feed to the public in a 1939 George Reeves Superman movie, short, his little reels, where they portray Tesla as a he's like the first mad scientist to be portrayed, besides like a Flash Gordon kind of mad scientist type. And that deeply hurt him, because all he ever wanted to do was help the world with science and engineering. And now all of society in the 1930s, probably 6 years before his death, looked at him as, you're a villain because of the Edison smear campaign. So
that's just too bad.
One of those things that happened. Not everything that happens in our society is good or great. And some fucked up shit happens. So yeah, you're yawning, and we're all fading. Are we gonna? It's probably a good place to. Do you guys have?
Yeah, we're right about there.
Have plugs. Body and Soul candles. The closer we get through the years, the closer we get to the fall, when candles don't melt in Arizona. Lauren makes amazing candles. Check it out, Body and Soul Candles. I'll do Eric Marsh since Rob isn't here. Okay. Clay, do you have any plugs? Whatever you're doing.
Just the bazaar that we were going to be doing next weekend. It's probably going to be next month.
Yeah, we're probably gonna. We're not ready.
Yeah. Having a hard time getting it from here to here. So.
I wish I was crafty. But catch me here every Tuesday, as you are now. Catch me every other Sunday night over on the Real Women of Gaming channel, where I'm hosting Deadlands. And occasionally I'll pop up in other streams and other places. I keep telling myself I'm going to start streaming on Sundays, but every Sunday comes and I'm lying in bed, not doing anything and enjoying not doing anything.
Who cares?
And so streaming never happens. But I promise someday, maybe, I'll start streaming again on Sundays.
One way to stay geeky is to join us this Thursday and every Thursday when we do Savage World 50 Fathoms.
Yes, and eventually I might even start streaming that myself too. It's just at the end of a long day of work, I look like this.
Yeah. I agree with you on that.
Trust me, I'm not pretty right now. The camera makes me look better.
None of us are pretty. So thank you once again for watching the Supreme Council of the Master Geeks Lodge, episode 76. I think we've done all the plugs. I think that's it. Stay geeky.
I think we have.
You could have watched anybody, but you decided to watch us, and we really appreciate that. Tell all your friends. Thank you. You got it here first, folks. 100% pure barf. I am your loyal troll.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you, and good night.
Thank you, and good night. Thank you, gentlemen. As always, an extra pleasure. Thank you for sticking with us, all 765, now 4 fans. We love you. We need you. We appreciate you. One day we'll have Patreon stuff and things to send and give and extra shit behind the scenes. We're working on it. We're working on it. So, that being said, gentlemen, always a pleasure.
Have a good night.
Absolutely.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Thank
Good
you.
night. Thank you.